So we had the thought, I'm just going to explain what we're doing here first. So we had the thought of going through all of these one by one, all the things that were listed on the list last week, and just going one by one explaining the merits or lack thereof for each individual element in the list, starting from one, working all the way down through the 77 that I listed. They will be broken down into 4 different categories, ones that are retcons, ones that are kind of retcons but nebulous, ones that are not retcons but reveals instead, and ones that are just flat out wrong. They're all color coded, and I'll be explaining them as we go through. We had actually begun doing this just as a personal exercise for the next video we're making, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. But I figured this would make some kind of interesting bonus content for any of you that are interested. So yeah, we're just going to go through. We've made it through the first 5 already, but I'll just recap what we've done quickly there. So number 1, Goku's tail becomes a weakness. That's obviously just a reveal. It's not a retcon. Bulma doesn't know that the Dragon Balls can fly away. That was just a huge mistake on my part. I didn't read the entire chapter. I was just kind of skimming through the entire series looking for stuff, and I thought I knew the entire story, but I guess I didn't. Number 3, holes. Number 4, holes. So this one, number 5, was interesting because Tyson pointed out something to me that I didn't even know. So the version of the Dragon Ball manga that I was reading apparently has like a viz-ism, like basically something that's in there that wasn't actually in the original release. And at the end of the first chapter, there's a little kind of text box that says in pretty certain terms that this is the staff, and like the Imp King and like all these different elements from this chapter are based on the Chinese fairy tale Journey to the West. And so I took from that the Nyoibo is de facto the staff from that story. And so when it was revealed later that Nyoibo can actually connect the Karin's Tower to the Lookout, I was like, that's not like the staff from the Chinese fairy tale. And so I called it a retcon. But apparently that was added in by the English translator. So I genuinely had no idea. So that takes that away. So it changes it from what was a retcon in my mind to just a outright reveal. So that's totally fine. I'm board with that. Number 6, the Dragon Radar now is accurate up close. That's a retcon. And so this is where we were. We were talking, Tyson, about the Sensu being and their ability to heal people being a retcon. So your argument is that when it was initially, and this is a retcon, albeit a nebulous one, you have a category
Yes.
because it's blue. But your argument, and if I have this right, is that when it was initially described to Goku what these beings do, it was being described in the context of what Goku was expressing in that moment, which was a hunger for something. And so its initial description was based entirely around the context of that conversation, or at least that would be your argument to say that it might not be a full out and out retcon.
Right. Yeah, you can make an argument that, he was just describing that because Goku's like, I'm so hungry, I can't even get you. And he's like, here's these things, they'll make you full. And he was like, cool. And they were also described just as like magical. So you can make a sound argument that he was just talking about Goku's hunger, and we don't know what other magical properties we have. And later it was just revealing more of those. But I think the more sound argument that this is, at least in a arguable, more traditional sense, a form of a retcon.
Because the audience was led to believe something in sort of not an explicit way, but close enough to such that it meets a threshold of something.
Exactly. A lot of the blue ones are exactly that. It's something where nothing is established explicitly. So that's the point where you really are like in a nebulous area where it depends on how you, the reader, personally interpreted its establishment, and that this is kind of one of those. So therefore you can absolutely make an argument that this is a retcon. It just depends on kind of how you interpreted its establishment.
Yeah. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to take off my hoodie because it is really hot in my room. So 2 seconds.
Classic.
This is all unedited, so we're just going to go with this. Okay. So
yeah.
All right. Just taking off the hoodie. Now. All right. Ready to rock and roll again. Okay, so Goku is 12 years old, not 14. That is a retcon, obviously, because But again, like that could still just be nebulous because what does Goku know? How would he know his age? That kind of stuff. It's like it's obviously less arguable than the Sensu being one, but I think you can even sort of make an argument that Goku doesn't have a clue what he's talking about because he's not educated. He can't. He doesn't know the difference between men and girls.
So yes and no. The difference there is, like, this is a retcon with a very good explanation, which often doesn't happen with retcons. You either don't get an explanation at all, or the explanation is very, like, laissez-faire. This is a retcon with a good explanation, but it does, the good explanation doesn't change the fact that we are absolutely established. Goku is 14 years old. Like, it is established as fact, and then through a good explanation, it is then changed and given new context.
Yeah, agreed. All right, number 9, the tournament announcer becomes a judge. We agree on that. That is a retcon. Number 10, Roshi previously claimed that Kinton came from Kami, but he never ended up meeting him. That is also a retcon.
Yeah.
Number 11, Kinton came from a bigger Kinton. So I'm guessing your argument here is that because the cloud is magic, it doesn't necessarily need to operate on its own or whatever. Then, like, it was nebulous, and so that nebulous kind of description or introduction for Kinton, they just filled up that uncertainty.
Right. We're never given any, like, explanation or origin or even anything vague about Kinton other than he's magic. He's a little magic cloud. And so finding out where he comes from is an interesting reveal, but it's not changed anything established.
Yeah. Number 12, a retcon for Kinton's death. So I'm talking about in this instance, when I think it's a tambourine killed, or how would you say destroys Kinton? It seems to have a personality. Does it have a personality?
I would say kill. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, tambourine kills Kinton, and, like, obviously Goku wouldn't know, but because he's the only one to, like, react to it, he reacts thinking, "Oh my God, you killed, Kinton. This thing is gone now," and that's the impression the audience is left with. And that's sort of why I felt like it was a retcon when they just revealed that, oh no, there's a big cloud, and there's actually, like, an almost endless supply of him and all that kind of stuff. So that's I was kind of like, at this point, because I was going through the series so fast, I was kind of like looking for instances where I was made to feel a certain way. And actually, funnily enough, when I was making this list, I actually accrued a rather substantial list of, like, inconsistencies or kind of questionable kind of, like, whatever things, just because that's where my mind was. And so when I wrote this down, initially it was because I was just thinking of, like, okay, how does this make me feel? This feels like it came out of nowhere. And a lot of these are coming from a place where I'm just kind of like, okay, well, this kind of came out of nowhere. And that's where I kind of felt Kinton's death kind of
right,
or its erasure came from.
The distinction with this one is just that, like, ultimately the Kinton, or at least a little slice of him that we get initially, stays dead. We never get him back. Goku just, like, rolls up to the giant Kinton once he's revealed and, like, rips off a new Kinton. It's like Kinton 2. I think, funny enough, your view on, like, I was made to feel this way and then it was revealed that actually Kinton is fine, does apply to when Kinton is shot by a rocket launcher in the Red Ribbon Army.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's true. I didn't write that one down, did I?
No, but that's the same thing, but it is actually, like, it's revealed later. Actually, he was fine.
Okay. So, wait, have we just discovered a retcon of some description in this conversation?
Let me think about that. My initial impression is that would be, like, maybe a blue one, but let me think.
A blue? See, like, well, like, no, it's because what tambourine does to it implies that what happened to it before with the rocket.
Oh, I see. No. There is explicitly written why tambourine works. It's demon stuff. Okay. Initially,
demon stuff, because the demon stuff actually does bother me, and I think we may have misunderstood each other. But, like, it'll be interesting to talk about that. But what are you thinking? So, in terms of the rocket, then?
Yeah. No. As far as,
like, it dissipates and comes back, right?
Yeah, that bit's good as far as tambourine goes, because there's, like, literally a line that's like,
that accounts for it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, the demons, because I think it, if I recall, it ties into the fact that, like, when demons kill people, they can't, like, ascend or whatever. Something about being a demon is explained to be why he can actually, like, kill Kinton for real this time. As far as, like, the original with the rocket, I would argue that A, because it happens so quickly, and B, because it's like kind of the classic trope of like, oh, you think it's dead, but then blah blah blah, it's revealed it's not. I think it's just more of a twist than a retcon. Like it's like it's not really fundamentally reshaping anything that was established. It's just a twist.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, because like it like when it's hit by the rocket, it does just dissipate, right?
Yeah, more or less.
And you're saying that like it's okay for it just to come back.
I mean, that's why I said I think you could make an argument for at least being one of the like blue retcons, because I think
But
you could probably
then, like,
make a good argument for it.
Well, like I'm just saying that like if you can make an argument for that, then the Nyoibo one is sort of operating in the same kind of way, because like we're sort of with the Nyoibo and with the Kinto, we're sort of dealing with an unknown quantity, and so the fact that it can come back could just be an element from that like ethereal unknown about that entity.
That would be my personal view on it, which is why I would consider it just a reveal. But the fact that you could interpret it another way is why I'm arguing that it could be a blue retcon. Like depending on how you interpret this could be argued as a retcon type thing.
I'm interested though. So like in my mind, the Kintuun thing and the Nyoibo are like one and the same in terms of mechanically what's happening in the story with them. Like they are believed to be one thing, but that belief is hedged entirely on our lack of understanding on what that thing is.
Right.
So at a certain point in the story, we feel like we know what this thing is, even though we don't. And then later, Nyoibo, it's revealed to be the gateway to heaven, and Kintuun is revealed to be able to come back together under certain conditions and not under other conditions.
Right.
So like I'm just wondering, in your mind, how are those two things different?
How are what that and the
so like you're saying so like I'm on board with this Nyoibo being the gateway to heaven thing being a orange one, in that it's just a reveal.
Right.
But I'm just wondering, where does your motivation to categorize this Red Ribbon Army instance where Kintuun is blown up and then recombines? Where does the intuition?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, so the difference.
Make it a blue.
Right. So the difference there is the Nyoibo being the gateway to heaven thing. That is like the because the whole thing with the retcons is it needs to be altering, changing, recontextualizing, whatever, something that is established by the narrative. That's like the big key phrase that we're going with for this video. There, as far as what this is, altering, changing, whatever, that's established by the narrative is nothing. There's nothing that's established. It's left completely vague, other than just this is a magical thing that Goku has. Whereas with Kintoon's death, obviously Kintoon himself is the same thing. He's just established as this magical thing. The thing that is established by the narrative here is that Kintoon died. Because like you said, I did check, there's a... the general, whatever his name, I don't remember which color he is, silver maybe, something like that, shoots the rocket, it hits Kintoon, and then the next page, Goku drops down, and then there's a panel at the bottom right where he looks up, and there's like just like dust settling of nothingness in the air where Kintoon was, and Goku says, "Oh no, that was my Kintoon, my favorite present for the turtle guy, and you just wrecked it." So it's established, at least loosely by the narrative, that Kintoon has just died. Again, I would personally argue that it's just a twist rather than it's like a twist reveal that like, oh, he was actually fine all along, like that classic trope. But I'm saying it could be blue because you can absolutely, without a doubt, make an argument that no, it literally just established that he was dead, and then later it established, nope, he can't die. Ta-da!
But I would push back here and say that it didn't literally establish that he was dead, because how would Goku know? He's like in the same way that Goku reacted after Kintoon was destroyed by the demon person, whatever, or Tambourine. So that his reaction isn't reliable, right?
So the key bit there is and there's a very specific reason why it's worded this way in the definition. It's things that are established by the narrative, not necessarily the characters, because obviously, like, the way narratives have to work, like, characters have their own points of view,
Right.
and so they're
is that like it's the framing of the particular scene,
right. The narrative itself, separate from Goku's like character understanding of the world, the narrative itself establishes that Kinton has just died.
Yeah. Okay, that makes no, that's fine. Like, as in, like, things outside of Goku also point to the fact that this is Kinton dead.
Right. There's lots of things that can be altered by characters not understanding things, or dramatic irony, or lots of other stuff. But it's just about whether the narrative itself, implicitly or explicitly, establishes something.
Yeah, sure. No, I just was digging just to make sure that I was on board with like any meaningful difference, because up until then I was just like, aren't these two things the same thing? But if you're saying that, because like I'm not familiar with the scene, I don't have it in front of me. So if it does point out that like that there is some sort of narrative difference to how it's portrayed, then yeah, that makes sense. So will we just add that in then, maybe?
Yeah, I'm currently putting it in as 78 actually.
Okay, cool. Right, so number 12 was what? Oh yeah, no, sorry, number 13. Kinton can't fly to the lookout. So yep, that's fine. I mean, I'm probably going to push back on even the ones that you think I was right on, just for the sake of balance. But like,
right.
Like, I mean, the fact that it's magical, is it not beholden to other magical things around it? I don't like,
It's so like, the whole thing with Kinton not being able to go to the lookout is just like that they're like, it's established that Kinton can fly anywhere. He's a little magic thing that can fly anywhere, and then suddenly
it's not said though. That's not explicitly said. That's my gripe, or at least I don't think it is.
Right. I'm not so much talking about its ability to fly anywhere, but this afterwards imposes a new restriction specifically on Kinton, because if I recall, there's like basically in the original, it starts with an explanation that you can't just use a plane to fly up there. Like the lookout itself repels all things, but then it specifically is like, oh yeah, the Kinton can't go up there. Which is like just a new, like previously unexplained limitation on him specifically, rather than it just being like a lookout thing.
Right, but I think both of what you're saying there are expressed in the same chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Like, even the same page.
Let me pull up my,
if that matters, I guess,
my uber real translation and
I'm actually so pissed off that the translation that I was reading, like, had elements that misled me. That has actually really upset me.
It's very frustrating. That's the thing. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's enlightening to find out how much of an art translation is, in that like even the best translation ever in existence can have arguments made against it. That's just kind of like a humbling thing to realize. But separate from that, it's annoying to the more you dig, learn that there is just no completely good translation of Dragon Ball anywhere. Even the manga, which is a lot of times touted as the like bastion of truth for Dragon Ball, has all sorts of visisms and other like changes, editorial or bad translation, that just taint even that.
Sure.
Let me see. I'm pulling up the chapter right now.
I'd be interested just to see, because like it seems to me that when I was reading it, that both of those things are established at the same time.
Yeah, I wanna recheck the verbiage on it either way.
And they're both established before we get to the lookout too. So in my mind, these are things that are being established to prevent people from going there. To explain away why people haven't gone there, like Roshi, or like people who have access to propulsion devices like rockets and whatever.
That would be
Like realistically, in a meta way, this is like if we just take ourselves out of the story for a second, this is very much just Toriyama creating a new area and just post hoc trying to rationalize why people can't go there. Yeah, that's what's happening. But like, and we recognize that. But for anybody listening, what we're doing isn't like that doesn't make it a retcon. What we're trying to do is figure out where in the story this may contradict something that might have already been established, and what constitutes established is going to make up the meat of any disagreement we have in this video.
All right, I'll try to get there on the Kinton. The Kinton will not be enough. It can't go any higher up than this.
Yeah, then current.
So,
yeah.
You know what? Actually, oh wait, no, I already made the argument that this is a retcon. Yeah, no, so yeah, the specific verbiage there isn't even that it has anything to do with the lookout. That like it not being able to get to the lookout is not intrinsically linked to the lookout itself, like planes are, because it's then later explained like, oh, I'll take a rocket up, and then separately he says, even if you could get close to it in another object that isn't Kinton, you'll be repelled. But the Kinton thing specifically, this is just a new like restriction on Kinton that was never established beforehand.
Yeah, but my point is that like, was it established that he could go up infinitum? I don't think it was. It was just left vague. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was just not it was just not stated. I think the only conversation about Kinton that was had was what constitutes the person that could write it. They needed to be what, pure of heart or something, or
yeah,
something
that
like
is true. It's not explicitly stated that it can go anywhere. Let me think about this. Trying to think like
it's really fucking tough, isn't it? Like it's just like, because like, if you want to be really granular with it, like you have to be really specific about like, you know, what was
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like what was expressed. Like I mean like you had this down as like me, I was right, but I'm still like fighting against each.
I think there is a valid. I think you're making a valid argument. I even have. I don't know if you've read the opening of the script that I wrote yesterday, but I even have like a specific point in it already about like, dog, this shit is hard, especially with Toriyama, but just in general, like retcons. Are very. You have to be pretty clinical about them because, like, I don't know. It seems like silly and nerdy to be clinical about them, but like, there's a reason that scholars, like literary scholars themselves, still argue about retcons to this day. They're like, the distinction between them or twists or reveals or a bunch of other literary devices is very thin.
Yeah, and like to your point there as well, like we're dealing with someone like Toriyama whose entire writing style is hinged around making it up as he goes, and trying to differentiate between what that is, which is a completely justifiable approach to writing, and retcons is quite difficult because they are really, really close to each other. And in order to figure out what is and is not a retcon, we need to, I suppose, ground each and every item on this list with what was specifically established, or what were people led to believe, if they were led to believe anything.
Right, by the narrative itself.
Yeah, does that counter, or rather, is that contradicted in some form? Or does it corroborate with any information that comes later? And if it does or doesn't, that will dictate whether or not it's a retcon. So
it's even doubly harder, not just because Toriyama is like a fly by the seat of his pants kind of writer, but specifically because like his preferred mode of storytelling and revelation is by establishing something very vaguely and unceremoniously, and that thereby like leaving space for whatever he could possibly want to do later. Like that is like one of his favorite ways of telling stories, and it's like introducing things because it like leaves holes for his fly by the seat of his pants type writing. But like, that especially is just so muddy for many.
But I think that style is also like why Dragon Ball has remained kind of timeless, in that it kind of organically evolved with the time.
Mhm.
You had all the different influences from Jackie Chan in the early Dragon Ball all the way to like Terminator stuff during the Cell Saga. Like he's always been influenced by different things in pop culture, and you can really feel the natural organic growth of the story. It's just our job right now is like trying to differentiate between
Right.
what was organic and what was just him trying to fucking cram a square block into a circular hole.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that approach is literally why Goku being revealed as a Saiyan isn't talked about throughout history as a jump the shark moment. Because
Yeah.
in any other mode of storytelling, that would be a jump the shark moment. I've spent how many chapters, how many volumes with this guy, and now, oh, surprise, he's an alien. But because Toriyama's whole thing, or at least often his thing, is just kind of unceremoniously, vaguely introducing thing, not explaining it at all, and just leaving that for later down the line. Like all those volumes, there were like occasional jokes about what the hell is Goku, but the answer was always, oh. And so it just like leaves that hole.
So what are we going to say? Number 13, Kinton can't fly to the lookout. Like I would nearly lean.
I think blue.
Blue?
I think you've moved me from just an outright retcon to blue.
Okay, so it's staying on the list, but it's flirting with not being on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me change
Make it
this
so.
to blue. All right, that's blue now.
And number 14, you're saying is a reveal and not a retcon. The Dragon Radar can't work if they're swallowed.
Yeah.
The Dragon Radar can't work if the balls are swallowed. So like the reason, like, so like I would actually push back and say that this is blue, and the reason why is there's no reason for us to. And by the way, it's not swallowed. It's, or at least in the translation that I
Ingested.
read.
It's like inside them.
Well, no, didn't it say was it biological matter? Or like didn't it, like in, I'm pretty sure in the version that I read it said biological matter.
Let me check where. Let's see. What is this, number 14?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I cited the chapter in the original script.
97. Okay, let me find 97.
I hope you guys are enjoying this really, really pedantic and like picky video.
Really
the nerdiest video I think I've ever made.
Yeah.
I wonder, should we like? I don't know. I don't know. We can discuss where this will go later, but yeah, I have thoughts on where we could, if people are interested in listening to this video. I'm wondering where we should put it.
7. What is this? This is 63. Further down in the untouchable well that is the Red Ribbon Army arc. It's so long.
Yeah. That was the one that I think I skimmed through the most, because there are very few things in there that are like so when I was for transparency's sake, I've read the Dragon Ball manga a number of times, but obviously I don't remember everything as made evident by this video. But one thing I tried to do to sort of cut down on the work that I needed to get through in order to compile that initial list was I kind of like, okay, I have like signposts in my mind of key moments in the series where there might be opportunities for new information to be revealed. And these would normally take place like, you know, at the turn of an arc where like, you know, one was ending and a new one was beginning. Like that's where a lot of the Dragon Ball stuff comes up, or whenever the Dragon Balls get used anyway, that's also a time where like there are just tons of restrictions placed on them. But outside of that, yeah. Oh, you found it?
Yes, I did find it. So the verbiage is Bulma's trying to figure out why she can't find the 7th Dragon Ball, and the line is, which means maybe someone or something swallowed it. And then afterwards they all ask like, swallowed, what's the deal? And she's like, well, they're radio waves, they'd be blocked if they were like inside a person, like biological matter. So it's not really like it's never established. Just the same, I mean, yeah, the science of tracking the Dragon Balls is very nebulous and never established in any way. But like the point being, even if this is like completely new information, importantly, it is not changing or recontextualizing or blah 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 whatever anything that was established originally, which is just the key difference.
So okay, at the risk of getting in trouble again for science and stuff, I did Google and research around a shallow amount, I will confess, but I did this because I never personally heard of biological matter being a thing that would act as an obstacle, or at least an effective one. It's always something metallic like copper or something like that.
I see where you're going with this. The answer is that does not in any way make it a retcon. That just makes it bad science. It's like the same as like when fucking like CSI shows have like hacking scenes and it's just the dude like mashing on a keyboard while Matrix text pops up. Like it's not retconning anything because it's inaccurate to how it actually works. It's just bad science.
Well, like biological matter as well, like is sort of a vague parameter to like, so like I guess the issue that I had with it was that like biological matter is extremely vague. Like biological matter is just matter that was either derived from or is producing or is acting in a biological process, and that includes things like if they're held in someone's hand, or if it's in the in the pouch or bag of something that's made of a fabric. Those are byproducts of biological activity. And I'm just like, it doesn't really make sense to me when I read that, because we've seen the balls like that they were picked up when they were in the bags or in the hands of other people and stuff, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
I think
that matters to you at all.
That still is just a bad science thing. But even if that were valid, which again, I think it's just bad science, bad explanation rather than being a retcon itself. Even if that were true, I think you got to remember to not fixate too much on the super hyper specific verbiage of biological matter, because there's a good chance that you could maybe translate that very slightly, not necessarily a mistranslation, but like we said, it's translation is hard and an art. There's a good chance that you could make a different translation based upon who's translating that. So getting hung up in the super specific verbiage is tricky to begin with.
This is what makes it difficult as well for me initially when I was doing this, because I had to, in order to establish things that were established before, I needed to take extra. I needed to make sure that everything that was said or anything that was shown to me was true. And so when I saw biological matter, I was like, what? Because like, again, like I said, the fabric in their pouches, the fabric in their clothes, the fabric in their bags, the like, you know, when they're holding it in their hands, all those things, or even if it's in a bush or something, you know, like all of those things are like biological, like, you know, materials that are kind of housing or wrapped around the ball. Like, and so that's partially just what kind of threw me off, really, because like in my mind it was like, but we've seen it in biological matter before, and the balls, the radar picked them up fine. So I guess that's why when I saw, biological matter is like something that the radio waves can't go through, while it obviously, it isn't good science, in my mind it was also like going against what I thought we had been shown already by the story.
Yeah, I think you could, even from that perspective, make a pretty valid argument that like there's a difference between a little bit of skin around a ball while it's being held, or like a very thin layer of like leather in a pouch. To be fair, we don't even know that it's leather. There's a difference between that and like the amount of quote unquote biological matter that is in between the dragon radar, if it's like in a stomach that's inside biological fluid, that's inside muscle, that's inside skin. Like it's fully encased in a thick layer of biological creature.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I actually did go back over the series just to make sure that there was never an instance where the Dragon Balls were found inside the belly of something, because I'm pretty sure there's like filler material where it is. But the manga never shows it inside something living.
If that was true, then yes, absolutely, that would be a retcon.
Sure. I think like, I just want to make sure that we understand each other. The only thing that was throwing me was the use of the words biological matter, because that is more broad than what is being shown to be taking place. Because if it was just simply it's inside the belly of this thing and therefore we can't see it, I wouldn't see that as a retcon. But if but it was purely because it was described much more broadly as biological matter, that then leaves the confines of the stomach. And again, could be in a bush, could be in the palm of somebody's hand, could be in a pouch or something, you know. I think that fundamentally changes the claim. But if you're saying that it's specifically stating to inside the stomach, we don't disagree.
Yeah.
But I still would push back and say biological matter would be a retcon. Are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking.
I think it just depends entirely on whether or not that translation is accurate. Because, like, again, like you said, if
even if it is accurate, we are never given any establishment at all about that not being true or different in any way. Like, in fact, there's already an argument to be made that we knew that there are limitations to how she can track the radar, because we already knew before this that it can't really track them up close. So if anything, the only thing that's established already is that there are limitations. So that in itself is not new.
Well, I would disagree with that, because we have seen the balls actually be located by the Dragon Balls, by the Dragon Radar rather, and in those instances they are in the places that we're talking about, or that I'm arguing that they were. So we know that they can be found, or they give off a signal, even when they're in these quote unquote, or what I'm calling biological matter areas.
Yeah. Again, the line, even separate from biological matter, the initial claim is maybe something swallowed it. So she's she's explaining that the biological matter is the problem there, but it's only a problem via her initial claim when it's swallowed.
Yeah, again, like, I don't have any issue with it being swallowed being the mechanism for why she can't see it. Just the way that I interpreted it was that it was because it was surrounded by biological matter, therefore she can't see it, or she can't locate it. And that, to me, when I was reading it, was like, because I've seen her locate stuff that were inside biological matter, but it could be the case as well that, like, whatever Toriyama wrote, he meant for it to say, or he like, what it should be translating was like living tissue or something like that. Like, if it's something like that, then fine. But, like, biological matter is so nebulous that it pretty much it accounts for pretty much anything it could be in, like, except caves, maybe. Like, biological matter could even be like water, because, like, there's so many living things in the water to cloud the signal, so to speak.
But like, that's so obviously different than how it's voiced.
Right, exactly. But, like, I'm just saying that, like, what threw me off was the fact that it was biological matter.
So are we good to leave this orange?
Oh yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm just
sweet. Right. No, I'm down with that. That's my entire being.
Radar works on radio waves, not electromagnetic wave. Yeah. So that was just me Googling something.
The biggest comment of the entire video.
Yeah. Suddenly, everyone who watches my videos is a chemist or a physicist or whatever the fuck, right? I'm like, this is literally, like, so, like, right there, that was the one that I was most. This one and the Bulma lying about the Dragon Balls one. Those two are the ones that I was most upset with myself for not catching, and it was literally just a byproduct of me just rushing through this entire thing, thinking that I had to go through the entire series super fast. But, like, basically what this was just I did a Google for, like, the correlation between these two things, because I remembered it being described as electromagnetic or radio waves or whatever, and another label was being ascribed to it. I was like, oh, this could be a chance to find something that no one else has found. And when I Googled it, I was like, they're similar, but there are some differences. And really, what it actually was so I took from that was, oh, these are similar, but they're distinct, which is technically true, but what it actually is either radio waves or electromagnetic waves are a subsection
subset
of the other. So
what's even funnier too? I bet, I'm not gonna do it because we still have like 50 of these to get through. I bet there's a good chance that if you crack open the Japanese, it's the exact same word for both.
If that's true, I would be so upset, because that would be fucking me.
I would not be surprised if it was just something that got translated different from usage to usage, because obviously a translator isn't going to have like a gigabrain encyclopedic memory of how they translated that phrase like 50 chapters ago.
Sure, but again, like even if that was true, and while that would have been the impetus for why it threw me, it's still my.
It was ultimately just a Google mistake. But it's just funny that even aside from that, there's a chance that that this only started because it was translated differently. Again, I can't say that for certain. I could if I looked it up, but we got too many to do.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next?
Tau Pai Pai explodes into dust.
Yeah, that's a retcon.
Yeah.
I never.
The other day when we were talking, I argued that it wasn't, that it was just a classic. If you don't see the body, he's not dead. Twist trope. But you literally just see the dust cloud. There is nothing.
When we were having that conversation, in my mind, I was like, I can't fight this because I'm staring down this wall of comments that are all saying that I'm shit. So I just have to for now. But in my mind, I was like, but you saw the fucking cloud. There's no way. So I'm glad you're agreeing on that, because I was
it's true.
Fight on this one. I was going to, like, this was the arena that I was going to fight, but I'm happy to see that you.
No, it is explicitly, not even implicitly, it is explicitly established by the narrative that bitch is a cloud of dust.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and then he comes back with like cybernetic enhancements. There wasn't even
absolutely a retcon. Yeah.
Okay. Number 17. Goku has never seen another human. Gohan is a human. So like, when.
There's a lot of comments about this one. The line isn't even that he's never seen another human.
Right, but so the thing is, like, I didn't actually even notice it when I was reading it. What I noticed was when, again, for my research for this, I was going through all the Q&As for, like, I think it's volumes 1 to 6 or something.
Tricky.
Like Q&As for this. He actually says, "Oops, that's a mistake." And so I'm wondering, like, if he's accepting fault here, then he's also seeing what I'm seeing when I'm looking at this. So I'm wondering if it's like put it this way: if that comment, if that admission of fault by Toriyama wasn't there, that one would never.
It wouldn't even. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but like the fact that Toriyama sees it as a mistake and a fault that he made, I thought like that was the only instance in the entire video where I was thinking to myself, is there like a translation thing here that I'm not picking up on? And like, is he just like actually saying that this was a real mistake and the English that I'm reading is wrong?
Q&A at the end of like volume 2, or like which Q&A?
No, it was the Q&A at the end of volume 2. Yeah.
Let's see here. Hold, please.
Sure. I'm pretty sure it's on like the 3rd or 4th page of that Q&A. It's quite in there.
Let's see. I'll start from like the back, maybe.
No, it's definitely not on the
back. Dragon Ball, Spine, Bulma.
So like, I totally get why everyone was saying, but another human, another human. I totally get the argument, and that was my argument when I skipped over it. But because I agreed with everyone, but it was the very fact that Toriyama seemed to agree with the person that was bringing this to Toriyama's attention. It made me think, okay, is there some kind of translation thing here that
You know what? I've now found it, and that really makes me think that maybe the line was mistranslated, because it does absolutely very clearly say here. Like it is very explicit. The viewer is asking, "Hey, it said this, and that doesn't work." And Toriyama was like, "Oh, true."
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So like, everyone is saying that I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. I see the exact same things you guys did, and I came to the same conclusion. But I read what Toriyama said afterwards, and I was like, "Oh, then I must be wrong." That's the conclusion I came to.
Let me pull up the other translation just to be sure. Now, to be fair, there were plenty of your retcons that were insane, but in this specific case, there is a very
like this one was like everyone's favorite thing to talk about in the comments for a while.
That and the radio waves.
Yeah, that and the radio waves. All the chemists and physicists, you got me. I fucked up. But this one, I'm like, I'm taking the cue of Toriyama here. And like, if this is if I'm right, I'm gonna be so happy. But like if Toriyama.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Is that a difference in translation? Let me, because I've just found in the like more accurate translation, Goku says, "I never saw another human before." So if that's not what it says in the original, then it is in fact a mistranslation. I'm pulling up the original right now.
Wait, no, I think it is the exact same thing. Another human before. I think it is the same.
Yeah, that is the same line. They just don't know how to read.
Well, no. Could it be something that like something is being communicated in Japanese that there isn't an elegant way to communicate in English, and so this sufficed for both translations? Because Toriyama agreeing with this guy.
No. Even the original Viz translation supports what you're saying is what I'm saying. Your claim, your retcon was he says he's never seen another human, but he obviously had. That is true, even according to the Viz translation.
No. It's okay. So you're misinterpreting what people are taking issue with. They've never.
Okay, maybe I don't remember.
So yeah, they've never seen another human before, meaning that including the other human that he's seen, he's never seen another one in addition to that, in addition to himself and Grandpa Goku.
Oh, that's their arguments?
Yes, that's their argument. But
I guess you could make that argument. But even if you do want to do it, I think you're completely covered by the Toriyama
So comment. That was my argument. Yeah, exactly.
No,
so
I think
what Toriyama meant. So everyone can go eat the fattest dildo right now because
yeah, you know what? This one's going black.
See?
Boom. That is a retcon.
I'm so happy we're having this conversation now. I feel dedicated as a human being. All right.
For that one specifically, you have truly redeemed yourself.
Me so much shit about this. I was like, I did actually try to do due diligence with this.
I'm gonna have to add a small section, which is good. You remember I said I wanted to keep the opening retconning the video section under 7 minutes, and it came in at 6. Yeah. Turns out the Lord himself divined it that way, so I can have an extra minute to slot in some conversation about some of these.
Yeah, we can even try to see if we can make it shorter. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Number 18, Pilaf invents Dragon Ball radar jamming box. I guess the issue that I had with this is that it had been revealed, I don't know, not very soon before that like biological matter impeded the ability of the balls to be, discoverable or whatever. That's fine. I'm just like, how does he know? And
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How does he know? It doesn't matter. It's established that they can be jammed. It's never specifically established that they can't be jammed. And then Pilaf invents a thing that makes it so it can't be jammed. If you don't really buy that Pilaf can invent it, that's fair, but that doesn't make it a retcon. It's just a thing that happened.
This is the vibes thing that I was going on as well for a little bit, just to make sure that I could get the video out in time. So like what I want to do with this then is I want to kind of like copy it and put it on my convenient kind of like moments list of just I want to compile a list of like iffy writing moments or like inconsistencies or whatever, and just make a video out of that someday. So I might just save it.
That's fair, but even that, I don't know. Like Pilaf has like his little team make stuff. He has like his little crazy mech thing, though I don't remember if that actually comes from Hoi Poi capsules.
Do they have a Dragon Radar?
Pilaf?
Yeah.
No, they never get a Dragon Radar, I don't think.
I could be wrong.
I'm tired.
They definitely have a Dragon Radar in Battle of Gods. I know that because
I'm talking about original series. Yeah.
Well, if he's never used the Dragon Radar, then I just don't know how he would know how to block it.
He knows at some point that they can track it, so he knows that they have a radar. Even the Red Ribbon Army both has a worse radar and finds out that they have a radar. So it's like,
oh yeah, no,
that's fine.
It's impossible to create a radar. It must be, because like you said, and I knew this, that the Red Ribbon Army made a radar. I knew that because I was looking at their radar, hoping and praying that there would be a retcon that would show itself, but it never did. But yeah, no, that's fine. I'm happy to keep this as like a reveal. I wasn't like,
right.
Number 19, Baba can see the future. So like this is the one that I was iffy on to even put it there in the first place, and the reason being is that she's introduced as someone who, and again, this was the translation that I read, who can find anything.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what she's established as. And then later it said, but she can actually also see the future.
Yeah. But like if Goku was introduced as the guy that can beat anyone up, and later it shows him eating an inordinate amount of food, like that, it's just because his introduction aren't Okay, well, either way, and then you find out he has a tail. You didn't mention he had a tail before. Like, just because they did not list every single thing that Baba can do, because they also didn't mention that she can go to the afterlife, which I actually think you put in at some point. But that doesn't change anything that's established. She's just established as like this all-seeing crone. And then we continue finding out shit that she can do.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like, I mean, like, again, I think a lot of these will be like the whole contending with magic in this world, because I think you'll actually notice, and I hope people noticed, was that when it came to like Majin Buu, and I think I even voiced this in the video, and this part that I voiced in the video is brought about purely because of the fucking nightmare it was dealing with magic in Dragon Ball. When Buu came, he can stand to contradict fucking everything. He alone could account for a list of 180 things purely because he is magical and therefore things make sense because he does them. Like, he can do things that don't make sense because he is magic. And so this instance with Baba was brought about before that, because I didn't understand what she was I didn't see what she was doing as magic. I saw what she was doing as like sort of divination, sort of like psychic. And so seeing the future, like, it just felt like it wasn't like Baba didn't feel magic to me. She kind of felt like she was doing something else. But if you're making the argument that she's magic, then I just like, yeah, absolutely. Then that's not a retcon.
Yeah, well, either magic or some nebulous form of like mysticism that is outside of like key or whatever, because it's not something that anybody else can do. She just established as some crazy something, whether it be magic or crazy mysticism, whatever word you want to use. Yeah, it's very much in that she's a special person that can do special things, and then as the story goes on, we learn more special things that she can do.
Yeah. How do you feel actually, right, about her being Roshi's sister?
It's just a reveal.
I know it's a reveal, and I would take it as that because we haven't had that much time with Roshi, and that's fine. But I think what kind of made me pause to think about it for a moment was that Roshi is like 300 years old. Him being alive at all is like an extraordinary thing. And so the fact that someone else is also alive, kind of like it changed the mental calculus a little bit. I'm just wondering if there's any, if you...
Yeah. I mean, I think that is kind of just a product of original Dragon Ball, which was way more whimsical. Like, there were, there were animal people, there were 300-year-old men and their 300-year-old sisters, and like magical turtles that spin so fast that you can fly through the air. Like, it was all very mystical.
Yeah, no, I get that. I guess, like, again, this is just a byproduct of trying to account for Toriyama's ever-changing writing and the kind of tone of the show. Because, like there were moments where gags literally, like throw continuity and everything out the window. Like, I'm pretty sure
gags are tough.
Well, because like Gohan talks to the audience in the Buu saga, or like panel, Goku breaks out of the confines of the panel. So like the implication there being, Goku and everything in Dragon Ball exists within a series of panels, and they're all consciously aware of it. And that's a fucking insane path to go down. And again, I didn't go down that path, but this is just me just explaining the thought process behind this absolutely insane list. So like, it is complicated. And so when I got to the point where like Baba, is the fact that Roshi has a sister a thing, because obviously we should like, once, like, because for me, how I internalize this, and this is also an argument that I want to put out there as like a possible thing, in that the story that we understand individually that happens in our minds when we read it isn't necessarily the exact same person to person. And so when I read that Roshi was hundreds of years old, immediately I was like, okay, so he's the only one in his family. That's the implicit information that I got from that, because like, oh, so everyone in his family's dead, unless he's had children and they've grown up or whatever, and had grandchildren and great-grandchildren. That was what was happening in my head. And so when I hear that he's a sister, immediately my retcon was like, oh, wait, this is contradicting something that in my brain was established before. But in making this video and in doing this list and going through it, I have to take specifically what is said and specifically what isn't said, and then what the story is telling us. And yeah, there's no point. There's nowhere that says not like more than one person can't take whatever the fucking thing that Roshi took, or that Roshi didn't have a sitter that also took it, and like all that kind of stuff. So so like I'm happy to leave that as like a reveal, but I just want to just explain like, you know, the kind of mental calculus that was going on, just so that I don't sound completely insane. That like, there was a good faith effort made in all of these, or at least as many of these as I could. Number 20, the real ultra divine water exists. Yeah, I'm happy with this being blue. This is what was in my mind anyway when I put it.
It's very nebulous. You can absolutely make arguments both ways. I think I would personally, I mean, this happens a lot. I would personally side with it being a reveal more than a retcon, but it's blue because you can absolutely, without a doubt, make an argument that it was established as not existing, and then it exists.
I would probably lean more blue than orange with this one, personally. I would say that this is solidly blue, just because like there's every opportunity and reason for Goku to have like been made aware of or see this thing before, but the fact that he wasn't.
I think the argument against that is just that like when Karien finally whips out the ultra divine water, he explains like, even your current strength, which is way stronger than the last time I saw you cannot handle this. So if he didn't think he could handle it now, he definitely didn't think he could handle it back when he was up there with Tao Pai Pai. So I think there is a valid argument to be made that he didn't mention it before because there was just no way Goku could survive it. But again, I totally agree that you could also make the argument that he hadn't, that it's a retcon.
Well, like I think again, and maybe I'm wrong for doing this, but like I kind of call this a retcon because I kind of take the outside meta approach with this particular instance, and I think it's maybe an emotional one, maybe wrongly so, but I didn't like this moment, and people who've watched
it's not great
because like it's very clearly a moment where like I think that around this period when he was writing this part of the manga, he was very sick and he just needed to rest, and so didn't account for certain things narratively, and so he needed a thing to just make it up and just make up the difference in strength because he didn't have an idea or time or whatever to set it up beforehand, which this kind of exists in that kind of area for me. And so I then in a meta sense think, okay, so Toriyama didn't even account for this, and so therefore it couldn't have been accounted for earlier, and so therefore it's a retcon. So that's kind of like the outside, like the view I'm putting on this. Like I totally agree from a narrative perspective what you're saying, but like I suppose like if a big argument that we're making for like Goku being an alien is a retcon, I think a lot of that argument is given merit through the interviews and the meta commentary Toriyama offers about it, where he says that like, oh, he never envisioned Goku as an alien, he always envisioned him as a werewolf, blah blah blah.
See, I personally stand in opposition to using that stuff because that's kind of Toriyama's whole thing. He didn't envision like 70% of the shit that he came up with because that's how he writes.
Sure.
It's just in terms of literary analysis, it's just about what the narrative itself establishes. But in this case, even the narrative itself arguably establishes something, and the same argument can be made with the Saiyan reveal. So I'm totally down with them being blue, even if I personally would argue against them.
Okay. Number 21, summoning Shenlong makes the world nighttime. Yeah, I'm happy for this just to be a reveal. I just kind of thought of it as like again, this was me kind of taking the meta commentary thing of it too far, because I was like thinking, oh, this must be the moment where Toriyama thought, okay, this could be actually a good signal to use for other people, for other kind of like parties.
Which is absolutely what happened.
Right, but I'm just saying I confused that with like, you know, a narrative reason, so to speak. So that was an instance where that happened. So I'm happy to keep that keep that orange, because obviously you need to have room for
this giant wall of orange that we have to get through.
Demon King Piccolo can clone himself via egg. Okay, so there is precedent for him to create minions with an egg, but I think cloning himself is strange. Like it's never said that he can't do that. And again,
Even
this is
separate
going-
from it never explicitly saying that he can't, it's just established that he's this crazy demon thing that can do demon things.
Yeah.
So this is just us being revealed a new crazy demon thing that the demon can do.
Yeah, it's funny actually that they never did the egg thing ever again after this, which is weird, I think, because it's kind of
Yeah, where's Piccolo Jr. parentheses real?
so like okay. This is where I think there's a cool thing that I kind of noticed in this, in that like when I was in the Namek arc and I was looking back on like, you know, my notes for different things that I had written down, this was one of the things that came up because I wanted to kind of like, you know, compare what the most modern version of the Namekians are compared to the very first introduction of a Namekian that we ever saw, which is technically Demon King Piccolo. What I noticed was oh, he can create all of these weird little kind of minion things that looked like dragons and dinosaurs and stuff. And I'm like, why can they do this? Because none of the other Namekians do this. And in my mind, but like in my mind, I then justified it by saying, well, they can make the Dragon Balls and they make dragons that way. So why not make dragons a different way? Maybe they could just make dragons. So like, that's just another thing that kind of like was in my head. I don't know if there's like a retcon there at all, but like I feel like the absence, like for instance, right, on Namek, it's expressed that like they were on the brink of extinction and they, you know, they are slowly bringing their world back using, you know, whatever methods they can to plant trees and, you know, be at one with nature and all that kind of good stuff. You would think, and again, I don't think I don't know if this is a retcon or not, but I just think the fact that they aren't using this power to like create other smaller things via eggs to help them, I feel like that's like a missed opportunity if they aren't doing that, or if they can do that, if that makes sense, because we never see this ability ever again.
Definitely a missed opportunity, I would say, though I would definitely say not a retcon by any means.
Well, no, it can't be a retcon because there's no moment
in fact
directly call upon.
I actually think, now that I think about it, I think there's a valid argument to be made that it's not even a missed opportunity or like a Toriyama forgetting thing. Well, I mean, it sort of is, and it's largely just because, you know, they went from being demons to Namekians. But there is a like narrative explanation that you could make, which is that when he spits out the little helper eggs of like Tambourine and such, he very specifically explained that doing that drains his life energy. Like, he was already old and decrepit, and every time he does that, he's like, shit, now I'm even more old and decrepit. Like, I don't have much more in me. So it's like, it's very clearly a Kikoho type thing where doing it sacrifices your lifespan. So it makes sense that sane, level-headed Namekians are not just like spitting out little helper slaves all the time.
Yeah,
or maybe ever.
I don't think this is a retcon either. I'm just kind of throwing it down.
Yeah, I'm just entertaining the conversation for the sake of it.
Just for a second there, I need to go just check something, but just take down a timestamp or something and just, you know,
yeah, that's fine.
1 second. All right, I'm back. I just
that was
check
fast.
to see if I was needed, but I'm not. All right. What's next? Dragon Balls created by Kami. So like, this is sort of like a weird one because like this is just a reveal. I totally agree, but it's just like I didn't like the comments that were saying were like, "Where do you think they came from?" I don't fucking believe in God. Okay, so like I don't believe that like we were created by something, but I totally understand why people were like confused when I said that like they had a creator, because to me, things can just be. This is magic we're talking about. So like, you know, the fact that it had a creator, like, you know, was absolutely a reveal, not a retcon. But just moving forward, I just did want to say that, like, you know, like the fact that like the comments that were there were saying that like, where do you think they came from? I fucking hate comments like that.
I think from their point of view is less a theistic one and more like it would be the same as meeting Bulma's parents and you being like, what the hell? She has parents? I thought she was just there.
Well, no, like what? No, Bulma is a human. I know that humans need parents. The Dragon Balls could just be this mystical, magical thing. They don't need to have a creator necessarily.
That's true, but finding out that they have a creator is not a retcon.
No, it's not. But I'm just pointing.
Is their argument as well.
Right, but I'm just pointing out the difference in your comparison there, because like, yeah, obviously I knew Bulma had to have parents, but that's not the same as like the Dragon Balls having a creator. They didn't need to have a creator, whereas Bulma needed to have parents. Yeah, I was just kind of pushing back on the idea that like the Dragon Balls needed to have a creator. No, they didn't. They just happened to have one, which is a reveal and is not a retcon. And I agree. But I'm just thinking like
Yeah.
the theistic argument was just like, chill out, guys. Okay. Kami is God.
This whole block, the next 3 are all just reveals about Kami that don't change anything. They're just new information.
Well, the thing about Kami, right? The thing about Kami that made me feel like this was a retcon is sort of correlated with what was it? Fucking what was the thing? Roshi said that he got Kinton from God. And so when it's revealed that Kinton is actually from Karin Tower, retroactively you could assume that like, okay, Roshi meant that Karin is God, and so now the new thing above is now God instead of him, if that makes sense. So like when Roshi said that he got the cloud from God, what he's saying is that like he got the cloud from Karin at Karin Tower. Or at least that's what I inferred it to mean at post hoc, because obviously, you know, when Roshi initially said that, he didn't actually mean Karin Tower because Karin Tower hadn't been conceived of yet. But we're talking about within the story. Right. So if we're thinking about it within the story, Karin Tower becomes de facto God, or the House of God, or whatever the fuck it is in Dragon Ball, where Roshi got that thing.
I think the problem is that there's no point in which Karin is referred to as a Kami-sama / God ever. Well, like, that's what I'm saying. You could maybe on your own try and infer that, but it's not supported in any way.
Well, no,
it's just kind of like headcanon.
Well, what I'm specifically supporting it with is what Roshi said and where he said he got it from. He said that he got it from God, but he got it from Karin. And so...
Well, yeah, so that bit is the retcon, but that being an inaccuracy / retcon doesn't change the fact that we had never actually met Kami-sama, God, until then.
But doesn't he...
Like, there's never... Yes, he says that, but there's never a point in which Karin is referred to as God, as Kami-sama.
You see, like
it's not like when they did the retcon about Kinton, it was like, yeah, oh, thank you, Kami-sama, Karin, for giving me this. It's just like he's never referred to as that. It's just inaccurate.
By the way, I agree that it's a reveal. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to communicate where my thought process was, because I was going by what Roshi had said. Roshi had said that Karin was like, or I have to assume, based on how the story has been written and ultimately played out, that when Roshi said this, he was being truthful, and he said that, oh, he got it from God. And therefore, that God needs to be Karin, because that's the only place where he could have gotten it from. And so, if there's another God above Karin, then that then would be a retcon if what I'm saying was true. But I'm just saying, this is how I rationalize it, and I think that makes sense. But like, it's just, it has to be seen as a reveal, because without that one line from Roshi, it is just a reveal in and of itself. I would categorize it personally as somewhere between blue and orange, purely because of the fact that retroactively that line has to mean Karin, and so therefore Roshi is referring to Karin as God. Therefore, he needs to be either mistaken or he is truthful and accurate. And yeah, I don't know. It's that's where my mind went. You see, this is like, if this is God, and if he got it from God, and if there's a place above God that's also the actual God, then that would be a retcon, if that makes sense. If that thought process makes sense, then
I more or less get where you were coming from. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, if you want to keep it as orange, you can, but I would personally put it somewhere like...
No, it's still definitely a reveal.
No, it can be like, right, it can be a reveal, but a reveal can also be a retcon.
Okay, let me clarify. It's still definitely not a retcon.
Okay, but like you don't think like so? Okay, so like, what I'd be interested, right? So, what do you think Roshi meant in the first when he was explaining where he got it from?
Well, that's the thing, is what he meant no longer matters after the Kinton retcon. That's the problem, is that that line is retcon, so it no longer like is the accepted reality.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So you're saying that like if that retcon hadn't happened, then this would be a retcon.
100% yes. Or
Okay.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's very difficult calculus.
Well,
but
I would have.
yeah, you get what I'm coming at. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have put it as a blue. So you're saying that like because the other line was retcon, then that also anything around that line also is invalidated.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. Kami is related to Piccolo. This is again just like the whole demon kind of like magic fucking.
I mean, even if it isn't magic, it's just new information. Oh,
Well, no, but like if Piccolo was a human being, there would be no reason for me to believe that like this was possible. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
There are that's what I mean by this being a demon shit, this being magic shit. That
right. Yes. This does relate to his origin, his crazy demon nature.
Yeah. So like again, for anyone listening, this is why there is almost nothing concerning Majin Buu in this, because just magic is so much bullshit. And yeah, so yeah, if I was the kind of frame of mind I was in at the end of this list with Majin Buu and all that kind of stuff, if I had done this list again, I would have taken out all of those, because I would have I think the whole magic thing was something that I kind of came to grips with and just made a decision unconsciously a little bit of the ways through.
You can literally see the further down this list we go, the less colors there are, because the further you went, the more you started to like solidify like retcons versus reveals, just like unconsciously.
Well, it was just the whole magic bullshit kind of thing that kind of like counts.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy kookiness in Dragon Ball, especially, and early Z.
Yeah. Okay, so number 26, Kami can ignore the 1 year cooldown. Like, I think this was just like, so I think this is justified by the fact that he's the creator, I guess.
He created it. Because of that, he has this magical power.
Yeah. Again, like this is like a lot of these are here because the other ones were there. So like,
it's just this wall of all kind of like a knock-on effect of the same one.
Yeah, so like Kami is like, or no, sorry, like Dragon Balls were created by Kami. This was the one when this was introduced, and I didn't accept this as a reveal. Necessarily, all of these follow, or all of these follow. So yeah, these are kind of like all in one chapter as well, I believe. But yeah, that's a reveal. Number 27, Tao Pai Pai is Crane Hermit Sugar. I would push back on this specifically because I don't think it makes sense.
Even if it doesn't make sense, we said that earlier. It making sense does not make it a retcon.
Well, so this is where we get into like a conversation about what is and is not established, right? So obviously it's not explicitly established that Tao Pai Pai doesn't have a younger brother or doesn't have an older brother. Obviously it's not like these kind of things aren't expressed, right? But the fact that like Tsuru Senin must necessarily have consumed some elixir of life shit because he is the same or roughly the same age as Roshi. Tao Pai Pai is so much younger than him. Like there's really
to
believe that. Well, I mean, because you can like he looks so much younger than him.
Oh, what? Tao Pai Pai looks old.
Okay, so like I would say, okay, so maybe this is just how again we internalize the story differently. When I look at Tao Pai Pai and I look at Tsuru Senin, I see an age gap of no less than like 30 years. Like it's a long time. Like Tsuru Senin looks like he's every bit of 80.
I mean, yeah.
But this is one of the things that like when Tao Pai Pai was revealed, or rather when Tsuru Senin was revealed, or whatever, right? We are given every reason to like just assume that there's no like living relative or brother or whatever. Or if it is an older brother, he isn't hundreds of years old and there isn't that much of an age gap. Do you know what I mean?
So I'm looking at them side by side, and actually their like face physiology is very similar. The only like additional sign of age on Crane Hermit is that he has like I don't know what you call them, but like the like dog mouth like, hold on, I'm just gonna send a screenshot.
I understand the whole face physiology argument, but I think that's a poor one to apply to Dragon Ball because everyone has the exact same. I mean, like the ninja.
No, I was just saying, you're saying that one looks older than the other, and I'm telling you, they actually, like, literally by the way that they're drawn, are drawn to look almost basically the same age. The only thing about how they're drawn that indicates a different age is these little like this one additional face line.
Well, no, but like. I'm not looking at just their face, but even if I'm just looking at their face, like, you know, like the Crane Hermit is like completely bald, and Tao isn't. He's a full head of black hair. But even if we ignore the head, Tao is tall and imposing and strong, and Turtle Hermit, not Turtle Hermit, Crane Hermit is just like this diminutive, kind of like hunched over, very elderly man.
Well, yeah, because Tao Pai Pai is way, 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 way stronger. Even Roshi owns Crane Hermit.
Right. I'm not saying that he doesn't. I'm just saying that, like, I'm just making a case for why I intuit their ages to be so different.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying there's no actual reason to assume that they're different. It's all just they are different people. They look different, but they're both obviously like old people. We also don't know how younger or older of a gap there is between the two, but that's a different conversation entirely.
But what I'm saying is that the gap that existed between them was so vast that I just assumed that there would be no way that they could be brothers. Particularly when you take into consideration that like Tsuru Senin was like using the elixir of life. Now we have to also assume that like Tao was using the elixir of life, but got it at a point where he was younger by that much. Like, did Tao find it and just not share it with him, or like there's, I don't know, there's like a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's what I'm saying is they don't even look hundreds of years different. They both look roughly.
I'm not saying they look hundreds of years different. I'm saying that they look about 30 years different.
Even if you would make that argument, I would say they maybe look 10 years different, like 8 years different, something like that.
Oh, I like, to me, like when I look at Tao Pai Pai, I see someone who's like 48. Maybe.
What are you saying? He looks like he's like in his 60s. I mean, obviously a very fit, imposing 60, but his archetype is absolutely like the like terrifying like buff assassin guy in his 60s. This like grizzled veteran type guy.
I disagree, but like, yeah, if that's how you interpret it and stuff, like, that's fine. It's just not how I interpret it, but that doesn't really matter. I'm happy to move on, but like,
right.
Yeah.
This is the first one that I cannot come to a consensus on myself, and I needed. I mean, ideally, I was hoping AJ was going to be around for this, but even if it's just the two of us, we can talk about it.
I think I agree with what you're talking about, but just if you want to read this out for the people listening.
Right. So what I wrote here about this one's tough. The line in Viz's translation is, quote, "No god is given the power to destroy himself," which sort of implies that including killing himself indirectly via killing Piccolo, but it does not explicitly or implicitly say that. Or maybe you could argue it implicitly does it, but it's certainly not explicit. It is further complicated because the properly translated line via Herms is, "There's no way a god can kill himself." And then he goes on to say, "I've been waiting a long time for a fellow like him to appear," which I think is even less implicit in the idea that he couldn't kill Piccolo. I think that especially is just the implication there is, for some magic or like otherworldly reason, gods cannot shoot themselves in the head with a gun, basically. Like they can't do that.
Yeah, but I intuited that line about like I was waiting for someone like him to come along. Is that like he was waiting for someone who could actually take out Piccolo, like someone that was capable.
Yeah, well, he does also say that he doesn't think he can beat Piccolo. He does try later on, but it's explained why he tries later on, because when he shows up at the Tenkaichi Budokai, he's like, yeah, I spent that entire time training Goku. Well, actually, Popo spent the entire time training Goku. But at the end of it, I just don't, even still, I don't think he's strong enough. So I am forced to give this a try with this crazy Mafuba technique, even if I don't think I can do it.
Right, but like the fact that he even was just like the fact that his number one plan was the Mafuba speaks to the validity of my initial claim that was a retcon, because that's not him killing anybody, it's just him sealing him away. Like that retains him as he is fine. So his initial plan was still not to kill him because he can't, or at least that was the implication that I took from it.
Right.
And I think the fact that like the instance where I'm taking issue with it being a retcon is the moment at the very end of the fight is sort of like a throwaway moment to show Goku's virtue or whatever. It speaks to like, okay, this is just a mistake that was made, or this was just a
the bit at the end. I need to remember. I'm gonna pull it up. I need to remember very specifically what threatening action he takes against Piccolo at the end. I'm pulling it up right now.
I'm pretty sure if my memory is right, I'm pretty sure the scene is they're both standing over Piccolo's like.
Oh yeah, yep.
And then he just kind of like moves to kind of like end it there and then.
Yeah, okay, right. So this was the original thing that I was contending with. Not even him joining the tournament, but the idea that I think the implication may be solely that the limitation is he cannot directly kill himself. Like, he cannot blast his face with a key ball and kill himself, but that doesn't necessarily mean he couldn't indirectly kill himself by killing Piccolo. There's nothing that explicitly states that.
Well, like the thing is that like I would intuit that, and again, happy to hear your comeback to this, but like when someone says I can't kill myself, that means that I can't take actions that would lead to my death.
Yeah, this what you've just stated is why this is so hard that I couldn't come up with an answer by myself, because it's.
I would make the argument that this is not a clear-cut retcon, but
maybe just blue.
Or at least a blue, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely on the list, but it's just like, you know, there's like an asterisk next to it, like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I'm fine with putting this blue because I don't know. There are arguments that could be made either way, but even more than the other blues, it's just so hard to rule on because his initial claim is so nebulous. But yeah, I think I'm happy to put this blue.
Okay. Where are we? Shenlong can't revive people blasted to atoms. Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's a retcon. Kami dying equals no more Dragon Balls. So this is kind of going back to, or rather, the reason why I had that in the list at all was because, again, this kind of goes back to like the Dragon Balls being sort of omnipotent or well, absolute rather, and like again, this becomes valid because he's revealed to be their creator, and so it's like magic,
and then we learn like new stuff about them. Yeah,
like, but like I was kind of like, again, I was on the fence about including this at all. But the only reason that I did was because I was including every other limitation placed on the Dragon Balls, and this is just another limitation placed on the Dragon Balls.
Right. Yeah, the difference there is just like, obviously all of the wish ones are absolutely retcons because it's established these things can grant any wish. Like even Shenlong himself says it, and then later we find out, well, no, you can't do this and you can't do this. Whereas the Dragon Balls, their actual nature themselves was always mystical and mysterious. Then later we found out they're made by this, and as a result we learned some things about the Dragon Balls, but that's kind of separate from Shenlong.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, again, this is like a byproduct of me. So like, again, this necessarily needs to be here if the ones up here are also, because like this is all again a byproduct of that one chapter where I referred to Kami's reveal and Kami being a god and all that kind of stuff as a retcon. And so like this is sort of like another extension of that. So yeah, it's absolutely a reveal, it's not a retcon.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. Goku's Saiyan name is Kakarot. So like this is like talking about Goku's real name is Kakarot.
Right.
Because like
just new information.
Well, like it's just new information, but like it's so like this is something that I would think would be tied into one big one for like Goku is revealed to be an alien. Because that necessarily means that like he has a different name, he came here with a purpose, he's different.
I actually meant to make this one blue, not orange.
Because like if this one is real,
this
one is
this one is real, but everything else that comes about it is just new reveals from the maybe retcon.
Well, yeah. So like this one being a retcon, then justifies the existence of these.
Right. Yeah. This comes first. You are a Saiyan. This is maybe a retcon, depending on how you look at it. This is now the new established situation, similar to the Roshi thing, and then everything else are just reveals from it.
So this could be an interesting conversation. This could be an interesting point I'm about to make, and I'm wondering what you make of this. So it should depend on what information was revealed first. And the first piece of information revealed that connects to Goku is the last page of the first chapter of Dragon Ball Z, where we know that Raditz is an alien, but we don't understand that Goku is anyway connected to him until the very end of the last line of the chapter. So if you want to open that, one sec, I'll see if I can open it up there. One sec, because it would basically of these things here, whichever one is revealed first becomes the retcon, and everything else then follows suit, right?
Maybe.
So this is.
I would argue it's more like, what is the root of these? Because Goku's Saiyan name being Kakarot is only like that new information comes about because Goku is a Saiyan. Like that is the meaningful retcon, maybe not a retcon of this, is that Goku is a Saiyan, and all of these other things are like sub bullet points of the main new information, which is Goku is a Saiyan.
Right, but the new information is dictated specifically based on what came first, the chicken or the egg, so to speak, right? But I think it doesn't matter anyway, because looking at the actual page where this is revealed, Raditz says, "Have you?" So by the time we get to this last panel, we know Raditz is an alien. So that much is already known, but that doesn't matter yet because that actual aspect of the story hasn't been triggered to connect to Goku yet until he says this.
That's true. But that's just squared by the fact that it's just teasing information. Like at that time, it isn't even revealed why this weird spiky haired guy is looking for some guy named Kakarot. It's just like this like foreshadowing tease information at the end of the chapter. And then next chapter is when we actually start to get to like substantive new information.
Right, but like he says, he says, "Have you lost your pride, the pride of the Saiyan warriors?" At this point, we still don't have. We know that Raditz is a Saiyan warrior. We know that he has pride or whatever that he takes value in. And then it all comes crashing together when he says Kakarot. So what I would do personally with these three things is that I would get rid of number 32. Goku's original mission was to kill all Earthlings. We can get rid of that one because that one doesn't matter. So I'm happy to leave that as a reveal because it is. But I would say that number 31 and number 33 should be combined into one listing. That would be my...
Well, that's kind of implicitly what's happening here. That's the argument that I'm making, is that these two are absolutely related. Since this is the base one, it is like the main thing that gets the blue, and because therefore it is now a retcon, or maybe a retcon depending on how you look at it, because it gets the blue, this 31 kind of gets folded under it as a reveal from it, so they are kind of already being folded into one.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, and what you're describing is what I think number 32 is. My issue and why I think I rather nearly need to insist upon this existing with this is that the reveal of Kakarot and the Saiyan warriors happen in the same breath. When we then make the connection, it's Goku.
Right.
So,
he is a Saiyan, and his Saiyan name is Kakarot.
Yeah, that's the retcon. That is one thing that happens at one instance in time. It isn't something that happens afterwards that is supplemental or a reveal based on this already established information.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying now. If your argument is, rather than making this red or orange, you would more like it if we then added to the end of this named Kakarot.
Yes, that's what I mean.
That, I see what you're saying there. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work for the edit because messing with this list of 77 makes editor's life infinitely harder.
I just want to make it clear that this here, for anyone who even gives a shit to listen, is also blue. These two are just this and this are just one item in the list. So
yeah, more or less. Yes, the reveal is, you could say the reveal is Goku is known as a Saiyan named Kakarot.
Necessarily so, because like I'll show you. I'll send you the thing. 1 second.
What, the panel?
The panel, yeah, because
I have access to all things ever.
No, I know, but I just sent it to you now just because, so at the start of the panel, it's like, have you lost your pride, the pride of the Saiyan warriors? We already know that Raditz is an alien because we saw him land in a space pod. And then we look over, Kakarot. So now we have those two things in our mind, and then we look down and connect both of those pieces of information simultaneously to Goku.
Right.
So
I would argue that the main information is he's an alien, and him having a different alien name is just a subset of that information rather than being the major new information.
So this can't be new information that contradicts anything we knew before until we see Goku.
Right.
That Goku necessarily is the last thing we see in this panel if you want to follow the actual way it's written. So therefore, those two pieces of information that are listed prior to seeing Goku in that panel necessarily happen at the exact same time in our mind. The retcon happens the instant the connection is made to something in the past. And so
right.
I'm not.
I get that.
Yeah, I'm not making I'm not even willing to concede the point that you're trying to make where you think that this is like a subcategory of a thing that's already been established. No. The thing that's being established is that Kakarot is a Saiyan warrior and that's Goku. That's how it works. It's not that Goku is an alien and his name is Kakarot. That's not the order. It's that there is a Saiyan warrior named Kakarot. That on its own means nothing. It then becomes a retcon when we connect it with Goku. And that is one thing specifically, inarguably.
Is it though?
That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
No.
It has to, necessarily.
No. His name, yes, of course, if he's an alien, sure, he has some previous alien name that we didn't know.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but my point is that we don't find out that he's an alien before we find out his name. We find out both of these things at the exact same time, meaning that
but there is a hierarchy of information here.
You can weight whatever you want in terms of importance. I'm just talking about information correcting information.
I'm not talking about importance. I'm just talking about hierarchy, subsets.
What's being a hierarchy? Right, but obviously, if it was revealed that he was an alien, then necessarily he wouldn't have the name Goku, and therefore you would presuppose then that he would have a different name. But that's not what happens in the story. What happens in the story is that we find out about a Saiyan warrior named Kakarot.
No, we find out that he is a Saiyan.
No,
an alien race.
Wait. We know that Raditz is an alien, and therefore, at the conclusion of that of the right-hand side of that panel, we can then conclude that Raditz is a Saiyan warrior, and that
as is Goku.
No, not yet. Not yet.
His picture's right there.
Okay, look. Okay, so this is where I think the miscommunication is coming. The series, the flow of the panel necessarily is: have you lost your pride, the pride of the Saiyan warriors, Kakarot? That is what is read, and it is after that then we look at Goku.
It's all one sentence. It's all one thought. Just because he split it up into two bubbles does not change anything.
No. It's not the fact that it's split into two bubbles. I'm talking specifically about. Okay, look. Imagine for a second, right, that the information appears like this, because this is how it's supposed to be interpreted when you're looking at the panel. Raditz appears. We see Raditz, and because we've now already ingested the chapter that came, we know that he's an alien. Mm-hmm. Great. That's all the information we know just looking at the main picture in this panel, which is the first thing we're supposed to see. Then we read, have you lost your pride, the pride of the Saiyan warriors, Kakarot? That's the text. Now, nothing else has appeared yet because the order of events is Raditz, writing, then Goku.
So you are saying it's because they're in 2 panels, because you're saying it hasn't appeared yet exactly 1 speech bubble later.
My argument is that the retcon happens in our minds when it contradicts something that we thought to be true before. And so that moment can't happen necessarily until we see Goku.
Which we do in this panel.
But
it's just 1 bubble later.
Okay, but you're making what? But you're making, well, first of all, there's 2 speech bubbles and Goku's in the second one next to the name Kakarot. That's not my argument. My argument is that we ingest the information first and then we look at the picture. That's how it's laid out. It's information, then reveal.
No, you're right, but there's a hierarchy to, like, okay, so imagine this then. Imagine what he said here instead was the reveal was Goku was actually an alien warrior named Saiyan. His name was Kakarot, and he used to have blue pants. Finding out that Goku as an alien used to have blue pants is not the retcon here. Nobody comes away saying, "Oh my God, Goku has blue pants." This is a separate retcon from him being an alien. It's just there's a hierarchy to it. It's the main retcon. That is the Saiyan word.
That is not a good comparison because people could have multiple different kinds of pants. People can only have one name. And that matters. That's a difference.
I mean,
we're getting bogged down into this because we both actually ultimately agree, but it's just, I'm just making the case that, like, I think the Saiyan name Kakarot and the fact that he's a Saiyan are both revealed simultaneously. And so
we agree on that. It's one is a subset of the other rather than being like the reveal is not Goku's name is Kakarot. Like nobody or basically nobody would say, "Oh, you remember that retcon where Goku's Saiyan name was Kakarot?"
No. Obviously,
because we never knew his Saiyan name.
Right. Because obviously, I know the fact that he's an alien necessarily means that he must have a different name. I would be completely on your side if his name was revealed in a chapter later or in a different speech bubble. I'm just saying, in order of precedence, we get 2 pieces of information about Goku that we don't know are actually about Goku until we see Goku.
I mean, if you're talking about order, then the alien bit is first. So that also establishes that it's the actual reveal here.
Hang on. No. None of that. It doesn't actually matter what comes after that. It's what comes before the connection to Goku. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. That he is alien named Saiyans.
Yeah, he's a Saiyan named Kakarot. That's the piece of information.
He's a Saiyan. And his name is Kakarot.
Yeah, that's part of it. There are 2 things that are put there that are like
and he had blue pants.
Right, but the point, just to put a pin in this, the point that I'm making isn't that one is more important than the other or that one is the main retcon, because obviously the fact that he's an alien necessarily means that he has a whole bunch of baggage that necessarily follows. That's not the argument I'm making. The argument I'm making is that the retcon itself happens when those pieces of information are connected to Goku. And that happens when those 2 things are said in the same breath and then it connects to Goku. The only argument I'm making is that the retcon is that Goku's a Saiyan named Kakarot. That's the retcon. Specifically, necessarily, it is. Like, to say that he is just a...
Even if I still completely 100% disagree, as long as we agree that one should be blue and the rest is orange and we can move on, we should just do that, given we still have half of these to go. Actually, that's not true. We're like 2/3 of the way done, given it's less dense at the bottom. But we do still have things to do today.
Yeah, okay. Goku is an older brother. That necessarily follows after that. Whatever, right. It's fine. Goku forgot his... Yeah, that again is part of that whole thing. That's fine.
Right, yeah, just kind of a block of the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 36, Shenlong cannot grant the same wish twice. Again, that's a limitation. We agree on that. Yep. There is an afterlife. So, yeah, that's fine that's a reveal because it's already been established through Fortune Teller Baba that she takes people from the afterlife, brings them back.
Yeah. Yeah, if anything, you could argue it isn't even a reveal, but I think it's fine to call it a reveal.
I'm trying to think. There was something. Was there an argument that I made about Fortune Teller Battle?
Let me pull it up here. 37. Also in Chapter 11, the retroactive inclusion of the Otherworld hierarchy. Once we thought Kami was the top, now he's simply an intermediary between the mortal world and the afterlife.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that sounds more like what I said. That's a different thing, I feel, than what you have written down here. So, like, what I'm saying is that Kami was sort of seen as the top, but now he's not the top. Now something else is the top, and that's sort of a running theme. Then throughout Dragon Ball, as things become more and more the biggest, the best, the strongest kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Well, that still wouldn't be a retcon. That's just the same way that finding out there's someone above Roshi, and then there's someone above Karin, and then there's someone above Kami. It's just we are being revealed new depths to the universe. It's not like there was never a thing that claimed in all of the universe in the afterlife Kami is above it all. He's just God, specifically, eventually God of Earth.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just just pointing out that, like, I wouldn't have written down there is an afterlife, because
there is an afterlife.
That wasn't what I wrote down.
Kami isn't God of everything ever.
As in, Kami
is that better?
Kami isn't the top.
Right.
That pretty much Kami isn't top of the hierarchy or whatever of, like, divinity. I'm not even certain that isn't said, that he's like, I don't know. I'm not even bothered at this point. Raditz soul goes to the afterlife despite being killed by. So, like, this is a thing that I want to actually take issue with, because this is something that I was like, so at some point in the story, the descriptor demon is sort of used as a adjective rather than a noun, which it was initially used as, or at least that's how I interpreted it. That it was a thing rather than a state or a vibe someone can be. That's the retcon that I'm talking about when I draw attention to that. Because when Piccolo is revealed as a demon, and he looks the way that he does, I think reasonably we can all just, and like everyone that he kind of like spits out is like this weird dragon demon creature. I feel like it's reasonable to assume that this is just what a demon is in the
now. To be fair, that is not even close to the argument you made in the original video.
But
that is a completely different point.
I'm explaining the thought process behind why I put it there in the first place.
Right. Your original thing was, where was it? 38.
The wording. I changed the wording for a lot of the actual things that I put down, specifically because I just wanted to make it shorter, because I was conscious of, like, the edit time as well. But that's
right.
That's not an excuse, but it's just like a reason for why it might sound different to what I'm describing. Because what I wrote, the reason why I put it there was specifically because of what I just told you now.
Well, but that doesn't relate at all. What your claim was, souls of people killed by demons cannot ascend to the afterlife, but Raditz got killed by a demon and he went to the afterlife. And that's directly addressed in the story. Kami himself says Raditz went to the afterlife despite being killed by a demon. That's indicative that he is shedding his demon nature.
Right. I don't explain why I take issue with it, because I was just trying to get through it fast, but I'm explaining it now. Like, none of what I said changes the spirit of what I said at all. I'm just giving more detail as to why I considered it a retcon in the first place. And given that this is my reason, I think there's validity behind it, because a demon was like it wasn't a like an adjective, it was a noun. But then suddenly here, or in the Saiyan arc or whatever, when Piccolo starts to become more of a good person, it's starting to be used more like an adjective and less like a noun.
Yeah. Well, it is. And that kind of folds into the later bit of the retcon that Piccolo is actually a Namekian, not a demon.
Yeah, I don't even so I would actually nearly make an argument that isn't necessarily a retcon.
It absolutely is, and is actually, shit, did I write that? I might need to go and make sure that I wrote that. I was going to make a specific point of comparing those two in the blue section.
So, the reason why I would say that there's some precedent for like Kami to be otherworldly is that they speak a different language to each other.
Yeah, they speak a demon language is kind of the assumption. I mean that is,
but it's not. But that's not explicitly said, right?
Again, it's the narrative. That is the narrative explanation for them speaking another language. Either way, that doesn't really matter. The point is, it is explicitly explained by the narrative that Piccolo is a demon, and then later they say, actually, he's a Namekian. This is before Daima, where they have now squared that circle by saying, oh, he's both. At the time, the explanation was, no, you're not a demon, you dumb bitch. You're this alien named Namekians. Unlike Goku, where it's very nebulous and it's never explicitly stated that he's a human, and then now we're like, no, you're not a human, you're a thing. Piccolo, before, he is a demon. Now he is a Namekian. That, unlike the Saiyan thing, is a cut and dry retcon.
Sure. But my point is that it doesn't actually matter concerning that, and I'll tell you why. Is that it is explained by people who should know, that people killed by demons can't pass on to the afterlife. That is a thing that is said with a level of certainty because it's implied that they've observed this.
Right.
I don't understand by what mechanism Piccolo is now not being a demon. Because again, it's treated like a noun and then it's treated like an adjective. And that shift is divorced entirely from the whole Namek thing, because all those things still did happen. Or are you saying that because the Namek thing is happening, all of a sudden everything they've said has been discredited?
Yeah, it's just beginning to undermine all of that because the retcon is happening. The same thing with Roshi's statement being no longer relevant because it's been overwritten by a retcon. Like this is just the beginnings of shifting Piccolo's origin to that of being a Namekian.
In that case, Piccolo, I don't think is referred to as a Namekian or an alien or anything like that until the Saiyans arrive, and that is after this moment happens.
Right, but so at this point, when Kami starts explaining, oh, what, something's changing, he's blah blah blah, we're not given a extensive explanation for it. It's like setup. It's alluding to some mysterious thing that's happening that we don't know what the explanation is yet, and then later we get it.
But right, but like this specifically then is a soft retcon. Then it has to be, because there isn't. But because like it would make sense to call this like not a retcon if it came after the reveal of the Namekian. But the fact that this is like this on its own comes before that, and so necessarily it is contradicting something that came before, and so necessarily is a retcon.
But it's explained. It's begun to explain. We don't even get the full explanation yet, but Kami does the foreshadowing, the beginning of the work for this, explaining why it's happening.
Right, but I would say that's a retcon. Like necessarily so, no?
Hold on, I'm trying to like factory reset my brain. I'm trying to flip my canvas is what I'm doing right now.
Like again, this is like a really, really like pedantic and like really stupid conversation. But like what I'm saying is that this moment only gets the safe harbor of the Namekian reveal after the fact. It can't get it before it. That wouldn't make sense. He's thinking, folks.
I really am.
How do you think I feel? It's like way later in the day for me.
Yeah. Well, it's early in the day for me, so we're both at almost equidistant to sleeping, just other ends of the sleeping.
True, but I'm also a morning person, so yeah.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think this needs to be a retcon, and if this is a retcon, then that means that Piccolo being an alien isn't a retcon because it comes afterwards and has been given. Because necessarily because it has been given, it has been foreshadowed. Like we know that there are aliens. We know that we know that there are aliens, and we know that that Piccolo, something in him is changing or whatever, and that he isn't they've retroactively changed.
I think
from a noun to a. to a thing.
I think you're really close. You just have it backwards. Because yes, one is foreshadowing the other, but foreshadowing itself cannot be a retcon. It's setting up the retcon. And then what actually happens later, the retcon comes when now instead of speculation and foreshadowing on whatever is happening to Piccolo, we get the answer in the form of a retcon. No, you're a Namekian. And before, it's just like speculative foreshadowing, setting it up.
But no, okay. I know what's happening. It's not. This foreshadowing is objective. I'm not talking about the speculation. I'm talking about specifically, Raditz did show up in the afterlife. That is the contradiction.
Well, the speculative bit is why that happened.
Right. But that happens after the fact, right? That happens after the fact to try to set up what happens later. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Raditz showed up, and he can try to justify it. He can try to make sense of it. But the fact that Raditz shows up, that retcons what was said before.
That would be true if there wasn't a explanation for that was being set up, and the explanation is a retcon.
But so what you're talking about?
So okay, the contradiction. So the base contradiction is Raditz goes to the afterlife. The resolution to that contradiction is a retcon, and that retcon resolution is it's because Piccolo's a Namekian, not a demon. So the bit earlier where they're talking about him going to the afterlife is just setting up that future retcon.
Hang on. The retcon is that despite being a demon, someone showed up in the afterlife. That's the retcon.
But that
retcon can be justified later. But that moment is the retroactive change. That is the moment of retroactive continuity.
I'm gonna pull up the manga again. Let's see. Could this be at the end? Well, every other time we were getting into the weeds about a tough one, it helped to physically look at the verbiage, so I'm looking for that here.
Well, no, but Goku asked, did Raditz show up? Enma says yes, and then Kami justifies it, right? So what I'm saying is that Raditz showing up necessarily is a retcon. The fact that it can be justified later or can be expressed doesn't make it not a retcon. It just means that it can be a well-explained retcon or an explained retcon.
Reading. Blah 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 blah. What a fine mess. Time. We may ask Shenlong, but he's not strong enough. Goku's gonna be trained. Stop thinking out loud, Kami. And they talk about this. I need to go back and check at some point if that joke is in the anime. I don't remember it being, but maybe I just don't remember the anime that well.
Yeah, it's been ages since I've seen the anime.
Yeah, I basically just read the manga now.
I hate this is for this video is probably the first time I actually actively disliked reading the manga.
Yeah, it's such an effortless read. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So it actually is a chapter later that Kami starts talking about this. Popo says, "You seem troubled, my lord. What's the matter?" Actually, he probably said something much more racist than that, but Viz changes all of his dialogue.
Did you say racist stuff?
By that, I mean, have you ever... Because you've watched Z subbed, right?
Yeah. Well, no, so sorry. I've only seen... I've never watched Dragon Ball. I've only watched Z, and I've listened to the original English dub. I don't think I've listened to the original sub.
Okay. All right. You're this is going to be really funny for you to find out then.
Okay.
The way Popo speaks is also racist.
Oh my God. We have to make a TikTok about that. That is fucking terrible.
We already did. You forgot you made it.
That what Popo said was racist.
Yeah, the way he speaks is also racist in addition to his design. He speaks like a third person, like fifth grader. He the way he talks, he basically says like, "Me no know how to do that. God very strong." Okay. That sort of thing. He doesn't speak in complete sentences. He speaks in the third person. Like he speaks like toddler English, basically.
I don't remember us making that video.
I'm like 90% certain that we have. I'll have to find it.
It's neither here nor there. So like, yeah. I think the reveal of Raditz having survived.
Oh yeah, we got separated from that. He's blah blah blah. Our Piccolo. It seems that he's indeed different from before. He is definitely evil, but it feels like the crude, cunning violence he once had is gone. That was my thought as well. One thing is certain. Oh, I know that this is not.
It happens a chapter later, right?
Yeah, it does happen a chapter later. I would like to find. Let me pull up the proper translation for this real quick. What
and I think
chapter is this?
Necessarily, I think that because I think this is a retcon, it actually makes Piccolo's eventual reveal as a Namekian not a retcon.
There is no way that's happening.
Why?
Just for every possible reason.
Give me one and I'll be happy.
13 is 207. Hold please. I'm finding the actual translation on this real quick.
Oh god, he's really bringing in the big guns because he's feeling the pressure now.
No, I don't feel the pressure. I'm curious because I know for a fact at least that Popo's line there is different. Wait, what did I say? Z13?
I don't know what you said.
Z 20, 16, 14, 13. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here's an example of a difference in how Viz rewrites him and how he actually talks. Viz's line is, "That was my thought as well. One thing is certain, no longer is he the Daimao of old." What Popo actually says is, "Popo thinks so too. If he were Daimao of long ago, he wouldn't make Son Goku Son Strong."
Okay. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
God, that's horrific.
Okay, so there's some discrepancy in translation here. The Viz line is usually the souls of those killed by demons. Where is the full line there?
Like he says usually as well. Like it's not like
but remember that's the wrong Viz translation. So the Viz line is usually the souls of those killed by demons cannot rest in peace and drift in space suffering. The fact that Piccolo killed. Why is there a dash there? What the fuck? Oh, that Piccolo killed Raditz was in the underworld, nevertheless, means that Piccolo is clearly different from before. So the difference in line, the actual translation should be, rather than usually the souls of those killed by demons, the line should be those killed by the demon clan up until now. And also, instead of ended up in the other underworld, it should be was able to properly go to the afterlife. That's not a meaningful difference, but the main thing is those killed by the demon clan up until now.
It's more absolute. It's like up until this point, the point of the retcon. Like,
right. Yes.
Right, no, but like that's even more cements my point that this is the retcon. This is the moment that because it's retconning previously established information.
But he's saying that it's changing. We don't know why it's changing, but he is saying and acknowledging that it's changing.
Hang on. He doesn't. Okay, that doesn't matter. We don't actually need to know why it's changed, but we just need to know it has changed.
But the why is the retcon.
No. Well, like that can be also a retcon later if you want it to be. But my point is the fact that Raditz was a soul killed by a demon that passed into the other world successfully, that in and of itself contradicts what was said before. Objectively, that is a retcon.
You know what we should do? We should simply make this blue.
Yeah, that's what I want it to be. It needs to be blue.
Just as long as you don't think it's black.
I fucking, well, I mean, like, now who's racist?
Damn it, I can't. How do I change the color on this? Can I do this?
Yeah, because like it's like I would still argue that it's a black one, but I'm happy to leave it be a blue one because it needs to be on that list for it to be complete. That like I'll die on that hill. That absolutely.
I disagree, but I truly. You can make 1% of a wrong argument about it, so that's enough for me to give up and label it blue.
Sent up a wrong argument. Jesus Christ. All right, Piccolo and Khan. Sorry, no. What's the next one?
It's Shenlong.
Shenlong can't murk people stronger than Kami. Yeah, that's a limitation.
He just can't do anything to people stronger than him, which we find out later.
Yeah. Piccolo and Kami are aliens now as Namekians, or known as Namekians. Yeah,
just a retcon.
Piccolo and Kami, yeah, that's all. Goku's desire for combat is due to Saiyan genetics. Yeah, I mean, like, again, I'm happy for that to be blue.
That I would personally call that a subset of the Saiyan reveal thing, but that is even less of a subset than the Kakarot thing, and absolutely I could field arguments that it is its own retcon. It's quite distinct. So yeah, blue at a minimum.
Yeah. Again, just because like all blue means is that like it's a retcon, but it can be argued. That kind of thing.
Yes, it is. Some of these there are no valid arguments against this being a retcon, like the Patara thing, for instance. Well, in Super, anyways, it is absolute. Well, actually, no, you can kind of make arguments that the two can coexist. Some other retcon, there are plenty that you cannot make arguments against them. The blue ones you can make arguments for and against, but the fact that you can make an argument for it being a retcon means it should be on this list in some form.
Yeah. All right. Bodies must be preserved to be revived by Shenlong. Yep, retcon. Namekins are peaceful, but Piccolo was not corrupted by humans. Retcon, it's fine. Saiyan home world destroyed by Frieza, not meteor. Yes, it's a retcon. Look at the streak I'm on.
Yeah.
Frieza revealed to exist and be.
This is maybe the hardest one of the whole thing.
So, like, I think we're given a reason to believe that Frieza didn't exist until he did.
So for both your and any insane person that's still listening to this benefit, I'll read out my findings on this because I did digging for all of these. What I wrote is, this one's also tough. Planet Vegeta's fate from Frieza is definitely a retcon. That there's no arguing that. Vegeta saying he's the strongest, that's not a retcon. You listed that as, so basically in the original video you listed a bunch of reasons for this, so I'm kind of going through them. Vegeta saying that he's strongest doesn't matter. That's just hubris.
Well, like, yeah, but like, I'm just saying, like, that isn't anything on its own. It was just something that kind of like tied.
Right. I was just saying you can't even include that in the rationale for this because it's just hubris. The same way that Buddha thinks that he's the fastest in the universe. It's just he's just wrong. It's just hubris. So that one doesn't work. Now, your last point about Frieza found out about the Dragon Balls by hearing chatter from Vegeta and Napper's Scouter. However, if that's the case, he should have been able to hear it from Raditz's too. So therefore,
or he was on the comms because they actually spoke about it as well before they left the planet they were on.
Right. I think that's valid in terms of just pure contradictions. If you're looking and like analyzing this canonically, that is a bit at least valid to argue as a contradiction. However, I don't think that holds water in terms of Frieza himself being a retcon, just that specific consideration is kind of a nebulous contradiction. However, I actually think the best argument for Frieza himself being a retcon is actually Raditz's initial explanation of the Saiyans, where he never mentions Frieza once, and he just solely describes the Saiyans as a powerful race that exterminates planets and sells them as real estate.
Yep.
That doesn't necessarily and absolutely preclude Frieza from being the Emperor of the Galaxy and the head of that operation, but it's completely omitted and does not come off that way at all. So I think that's the strongest argument in favor of it being a retcon, but I also think that's really stretching it. So I don't know what to do with this.
So, like, I would say that the fact that Frieza didn't hear the comms the first time, and the fact that he wasn't mentioned by Raditz even tangentially or even alluded to, I think that's enough to make it a blue, personally. Because even if
I still don't really see the chatter thing at all, because there's lots of arguments against that. Maybe he didn't have his headset on. Maybe he wasn't listening, blah, blah, blah. But it's the Raditz thing that I'm really struggling with, because I don't know. It is there, but it's a stretch. It's like, it's bordering on Cinema Sins level analysis of does this world make sense?
Well, I mean, like, it's obvious that like at least to me, it's obvious that like Frieza hadn't been conceived of in a meta sense yet.
Of course, that's undeniable. Frieza definitely was not conceived of by then, but as we've said earlier, that doesn't necessarily matter.
But like, I think there's enough. I think if someone's reading that for the very first time, it's reasonable to intuit from that. And I feel like it's borderline implied that like it's the three of them that work together to destroy planets. They need Kakarot. No one else can help them.
Yeah.
For some.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually the most important thing, and I agree with you now. I didn't even write that in, but the fact that they need Kakarot is more explicit or implicit than anything else, that they are just working alone. That's it. Because that completely flies in the face of what we learned later, that not only are the Saiyans underlings, but they're underlings in a much, 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 much larger army run by somebody else that doesn't necessarily need the Saiyans for some bullshit.
Yeah.
So I'm moving this to blue. And to be clear, I was down with this being blue or black or any color. I really could not come to a conclusion, which is why I wrote the thing and was like, I want to hear other people on this.
Black. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to think of a reason why can't it be black.
Oh, because you can, for the reason that we spent all this time discussing it, is you can make an argument that it was nebulous and we're just finding out more about the claim.
The Steelman argument for this being blue would be that it is possible that when Raditz was looking to gain the help of Kakarot, someone that he doesn't know at all, he did that because he favored that route over asking the help of any other Frieza Force member.
But that not only is that almost speculation, but there's just so much room for interpretation on that.
Right, no, but that is speculation. But I'm just saying, like, it's much more reasonable to infer what we did.
I agree, which is why as soon as we started talking about the needing Kakarot thing, I was like, okay, I'm down. My point is, because it's speculation and because it's very interpretable, that necessarily means, and because we spent all this time talking about it, there are arguments to be made that you could not consider this not a retcon. Even if I consider it a retcon.
I consider it a retcon, and this is our list. Like, I don't think, given what we've discussed, that someone could like, unless I knew.
I think they could.
To me, really, what would that sound like?
Well, there's a great many things you could make the argument that just because they did need Goku and didn't mention Frieza, we don't know what mission Raditz had been sent on or was trying to complete. We don't know his dynamics with Vegeta and Nappa or even Frieza. There's a lot of information that we don't know that kind of plays into the Toriyama leaving things vague and then explaining them further thing. All of that unexplicit information could be used as an argument that this is not a retcon, but just another Toriyama leaving things open thing.
No, I get that. I feel like there's a threshold for me, and I feel like this met the threshold for me to kind of like, you know what, it's somewhere between black and...
I agree, and this is one of the blue ones where both of us are on the same side. Just importantly, there are other people that could take the other side of this and be making good faith arguments, which is just why it's blue.
This is everyone's list. This isn't our list. This is everyone's list. And we're speaking.
Yeah, it's an objective fact list. It's supposed to be like objective, not just like our opinions.
Right, but I mean, yeah, like as objective as I suppose you can get with something like.
Well, the point is, some of these are arguable, and we have to establish that they're arguable. If we wanted to just make this an our opinion list, we need to remove blue altogether and just decide on all of the blue ones.
Yeah, well, that's impossible. They're blue for
exactly.
Yeah. No, I know.
So this is another one of those where both of us happen to be on the same side of this, but there is a reasonable, something that we disagree with, a reasonable argument to be made against this one.
Sure. All right. What's the next one? Where are we? Saiyans grow stronger after each. Yeah, number 46. Saiyans grow stronger after each fight. So the reason I put this down as a retcon is because, like, there were certain elements of Goku's being that still existed despite, and didn't seem connected at all to his Saiyan ancestry once that was revealed. This changes those reactions and stuff he has in the past to something else after the fact. Now, I know it's
right, but it's so two things. One, that's kind of what we talked about before, where this is just like the retcon has already happened. The retcon is Goku is a warrior race, and this is just kind of more new information spilling out from that.
I get that. Like, does that mean then that anything new that is revealed is fair game?
Like regarding Saiyans?
Yeah, like the fact now that Goku is categorized as an alien, now anything can be said about him.
As long as it doesn't directly contradict a fact that came before. Like if we found out, Saiyans their tails are never their weak point, that would be a different thing. But as far as recontextualizing anything else, we've already done that under the retcon of Goku as an alien race known as Saiyans.
It's not really recontextualizing. It's sort of like pretending something was there when it wasn't. So like
that's what recontextualizing is.
Well, no. It's like recontextualizing would be like, okay, so let's say Goku is smiling at something. You could recontextualize that panel to mean that, Goku was actually smiling in confidence and not just actual joy. Like that's recontextualizing an image. Whereas this is saying that Saiyans grow stronger after each and every fight, when that isn't necessarily true or what happened in Dragon Ball.
But it is
with Goku. Is it? Like when he, but like when he recovers, there's no reason for us to think that he gets stronger because he gets some kind of genetic boost.
So stronger that gets into the other point that I was going to make. There's a very specific reason that this is orange, and later, where is it? Here we go. Number 50. Later, they change it to say Saiyans grow stronger at the brink of death, not just from fights. That is a new retcon from this previous reveal.
Yeah. That's a retcon that retcons the retcon. I get that. That's not something that we can argue with. I would absolutely make the same case.
Well, the point I'm trying to make specifically is like that from the brink of death, that does like fly in the face of things in general in the first place, whereas this, like, Goku did constantly continue getting stronger throughout all of Dragon Ball. This is just via the Saiyan thing. It doesn't say because he healed. The original explanation has nothing to do with healing. It's just Saiyans grow stronger after they fight, which is completely, that doesn't change, that does not contradict or change anything before. It's just recontextualizing by what means that was happening.
Like, Saiyans get stronger after every fight, really, if you want to take it as at face value, doesn't even imply anything to do with genetics. It just means that, like, they gain experience and they get better.
Yeah, I was also thinking that. It doesn't necessarily imply... it's only later here that they start making it explicitly a Saiyan thing. But either way you look at that, it's either a subset of a retcon or just not to do with Saiyans anyways, and then it's just like commentary on getting better as you train.
Fine. What is next? Where are we? Vegeta revealed as Saiyan Prince, not just Elite War. Yeah, I'm happy to leave that blue. It's just like I would still lean towards that being a retcon, but
100%. I was the one that submitted that one. I also think it's a retcon, but it's the same as a lot of the other ones before because it's not explicitly stated. Because it is technically interpretable. You can make an argument against it, so it's blue instead of black. Even if I 100% think it's a retcon.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Frieza afraid of Super Saiyan Legend, not Saiyans until. Not Saiyans uniting against him. Yeah, that's a. I still think that's a retcon. Yeah.
I personally view it the other way, especially because it's delivered by Dodoria originally. It's not Frieza saying it.
It's Dodoria and Zarbon.
Right, but it's his underlings. It's like
Right, but like they're parroting what he said to them.
right, but that's just Frieza saying shit to his underlings. Finding out that he actually had a worse hidden secret is not necessarily contradictory or new. It'd be like a bunch of some boss, like his employees being like, oh yeah, he pays us really well, and then finding out actually I pay one of them way less than everybody else. Like it's not a retcon, it's just him harboring secrets about himself that he does not reveal to his underlings.
Number 49, Super Saiyan is explicitly a transformation. So this is a kind of a weird one, right? Because like Super Saiyan is first said in the manga when Nappa says it about Gohan. And it's in that moment, it's the phrase is used to describe like a hybrid Saiyan that might have some sort of unique properties or whatever compared to purebred Saiyans and all that kind of stuff.
So basically, I did. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'd nearly make this blue, and it would be a weak blue at that. But like the only reason I would is that like the term Super Saiyan eventually is thrown around, and it's kind of like describing like a certain level of power, and it then later becomes a transformation.
So I did go through and check a bunch of uses, maybe all of them, of Super Saiyan in the manga. Okay. They are all extremely nebulous and not descriptive because at this point in the story, Super Saiyan is like pretty explicitly outlined as like an unknown myth that not even the Saiyans themselves know what it means.
But there is a point in the story where it's used before it's revealed as this myth.
Right, but again, it's just speculative. It's like the characters themselves have no idea what Super Saiyan even fucking means. They're just like, they know that the myth of the Super Saiyan exists, and they're speculating on what that means. At some points, they think, oh, maybe it's this like hybrid fella, and then at some points, they think, oh, maybe it's just a Saiyan that's so strong that he has become a Super Saiyan. They're all speculating on it, but we are never given an actual concrete explanation or idea of what Super Saiyan is. We just know that it's a myth, and then later we find out what it actually is.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, it's fine. Saiyans grow stronger from the we agree on that. Number 51, dragons can combine wishes to fulfill difficult requests. That one, like, that seems weird. That one seems really weird to me.
I get what you're thinking on this, but let me explain the thought here.
Okay.
Because obviously I said before, we established Shenlong can do everything, and then anything else that he can't do is that's contradicting that. That is like objectively a retcon. This specifically does not have to do with Shenlong's inability to do anything. This is a knock-on from the reveal that Porunga can grant 3 wishes. And from that reveal, part of his special power is that he can combine wishes and do other stuff. And so it like springs forth from that, but it has nothing to do with any original claims or capabilities that Shenlong has or that the dragons have or anything. It's just there are new dragons. They can grant multiple wishes, and also new information that comes from that. He can do crazy stuff with it.
I can't remember. What does Porunga do here again exactly? I forget. It's like
51.
He brings Krillin back, but also reassembles his body. But that's giving them a free wish, no?
I mean,
like that's how I internalize it as.
It is. Like, it absolutely is.
And like, okay, and the reason why
it's Porunga.
By the way, right, but the reason why I thought about it this way is because it is very obviously the case that Toriyama knew he had a certain amount of wishes and didn't want to bloat the chapter just by bringing like he wanted to speed things along, because we knew that we knew where we were going, but we didn't want to like belabor the point. I get that's the reasoning behind it, like on a meta narrative sense, but in the story, like Porunga just gives him another wish.
Right. That's true. The only reason it's not a retcon is because it's Porunga. If Shenlong had done that, like, then it's a different story. He can source. He just did.
Right, but like the wishes that were made before, right? Like, you know, bring back, like, what were the wishes made on the Namekian Dragon Balls?
Bring Piccolo here, and then revive everybody on Earth. or not on Earth. Revive everybody killed by Frieza. Or no, that's not true because he can't revive multiple people. What the fuck? My brain is breaking. What was the other wish?
What was it? Transport everybody.
Yeah, that's well, yes, because that's right. Shenlong revived everybody. Purunga. I swear I have an encyclopedic knowledge of Dragon Ball. I'm not stupid. My brain just broke. Yes.
No.
Shenlong revived everybody. Purunga transported everybody, but that's still, yeah, like that's fine.
That's still the one wish though. Like I mean, like
okay, right. But the point is, there was never a point at which Purunga refused to do something because it should be 2 wishes. There are times where Shenlong's done that, or where they've talked about they need to make this wish first, or they need to protect these bodies because blah, blah, blah. But with Purunga, there's never a time where they run into a problem because he won't kind of like do a nice wish.
I totally respect the idea of there being like, 2 different dragons with their own 2 different sets of rules and properties and capabilities and all that kind of stuff. That's totally fine. I'm just like, it's just this one, like I think it's implicit with both sets of Dragon Balls by the virtue of the fact that they are given a certain fixed number of wishes. That you have 3 wishes with Purunga, you have 1 wish with Shenlong, and eventually you get 3 wishes with Shenlong. The issue that I have is that this is literally 2 wishes in one. Like
Purunga's just chill like that, bro.
Okay, but like my point is that we know that you get 3 wishes with Purunga, but this time he gave them 4.
But that he didn't give them 4. He just did a particularly powerful wish.
No, he made a specific note of, I brought his body together as well for you. Like he separated it as its own thing. I think this could be blue personally, but if you want to move on, we can. But like I think there's an argument to be made that this is blue personally, because like fair enough, they have different rules, but they both share the same rule that you get a fixed number of wishes. And this one time, Purunga gave them 4. Technically, or like he gave them 4 actions worth 4 wishes.
I think that maybe is the distinction. If it was Purunga saying you need to bring his body back first, and they were like, shit, okay, we wish for his body to bring back, and he's like, okay, I'll do that. We won't count it though. We'll just do this together.
That's implied though, right? Surely it has to be.
No, they just wish for the thing, and along the way, like there's the contradiction of, oh, we previously established this needs to happen, but Purunga, it just does them a solid and is like, well, I went ahead and did this for you as like a part of that wish. I remove the necessary step because I'm a super strong dragon. I'm cool Purunga.
Okay, but like for him to do that, he needs to break the rule of like he's weak.
He doesn't have a rule for that though. The only rule that he has is that he can't bring back multiple people at once.
Okay, so we're just kind of relying on the fact now that he's just this chill sentient being.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's even what happens later to Shenlong.
No, I get that, but like, is that in and of itself not a retcon? Because they were just kind of like these magical entities before.
It would be if Shenlong was like that, but we don't know anything about Purunga.
Well, Shenlong does get like that.
Yes, and that is a retcon later. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. But Purunga is an unknown entity.
Okay, I would still like. I think this is like as close as orange can get to blue. But if you want to keep it at blue, we can keep it at blue. Where are we? Saiyans grow stronger from. Yeah, we did that already.
No, we're right here.
Oh yeah, sorry. Someone can refuse to be transported via wish if they so choose. Yeah, that's another limitation.
It's one of the strangest and most hilarious inconsistencies / contrivances / retcons in all of Dragon Ball. It's so funny.
It's really weird. It's really, really weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, what happens? Does their halo... Like, I'm imagining their halo, like, flashes, and then Shenlong is like, are you ready to go? And they're like, nah, I don't really want to.
Nah, I'm good. Because he does also do that later.
Yeah.
Well, no, he doesn't do that. He just talks to them before. Either way, it's insane. Moving on.
Yeah. Trunks calls his androids 19 and 20, not 17 and 18. Yeah, that's obvious. That's an explicit, clear.
Yeah.
Maybe the
there is no possible argument against it.
Yeah. Kami felt bad vibes on Earth due to cells. Like, see, the way you worded some of these, some of them don't bear any relation to what I wrote. So
That's not entirely true. I was condensing your much longer point.
no, I get it. So like the idea here is that Kami felt some evil entity that turned out to be Cell for years, but never mentioned it.
Well, your original statement here was the shift from 17 and 18 to Cell was a retcon brought on by editorial decision. That's not a retcon. That was just the story evolving.
Let me think.
You then supplemented that with a comment about, and apparently Kami had suspected something for the last 4 years, which is why I slightly humorously reduced this one down to, I mean, if you want, I can change this shortened version to Cell is a bad guy and exists.
Cell is a bad guy and exists, but like the retcon for me would be that, like, you know, apparently Kami suspected something all along.
Well, yeah, that's why I wrote this here instead of the Cell thing. But that itself is not a retcon. There's nothing changed here. We have not heard from Kami in an entire arc.
But like, if you would think that if he suspected something, he'd say something to someone.
He didn't. Well, because it was just he suspected something. He didn't have anything concrete.
Okay. Yeah. Again, this is like it's not satisfying at all. But like,
it'd be different if the comment was, oh, I noticed that strange creature with the time machine arrive, but I didn't know what was going to happen. That would be a whole different story. But all Kami says is that he, like, I don't know the exact version. I can pull it up if you want, but it's almost literally like, I've been feeling bad vibes down there for the last few years.
Yeah. I think he did he say I think he might have ascribed it even to something else. But yeah, that's fine to keep it that color. It's fine. Piccolo and Kami fusing bricks the Dragon Balls? Breaks the Dragon Balls.
No, bricks.
Okay. Just kills them anyway.
Yeah. You never heard of like breaking a phone or a computer?
I think this is fine just because like it's effectively just killing Kami and just the creator of the Dragon Balls, because I think they even
correct
that, like Piccolo is the main guy. So yeah, I'm happy to leave that as that. It's definitely not a retcon. If anything, it's consistent.
Yeah, very much so.
Jiro's lab wasn't completely destroyed, had unknown basement.
It's just a classic reveal.
Like, yeah, kind of. But like, Trunks as a Super Saiyan blows it up.
Yeah, he blows up the top layer, but then we were revealed later he has a secret like basement well below the ground.
Yeah, I suppose we don't know how deep it was or whatever, but like,
yeah,
when I was writing this, I wrote it there saying that like it's reasonable for us to assume that anything that was in there would have been destroyed. But
I agree that it's strange. It's just not a retcon. But I'm on board that it's a bit odd and requires a slight suspension of disbelief that Super Saiyan Trunks' blast didn't manage to at least shake up the bunker down there below. But even if I agree that it's a bit of a contrivance and like silly, it's at the very least not a retcon, which is, you know, the topic at hand.
Well, yeah, I'm just like, the thing that I was just kind of getting at with it was just that like it felt so unreasonable for me to assume that like it felt like that it was a retcon, that like again, I'm always wrestling with the knowledge that like obviously Toriyama didn't plan for that to be a Cell,
right?
And so like this is just one of those moments that like would have absolutely played out a different way had he been conceived of before.
Yeah.
So therefore, the reason why he would have changed it from this is because it is unreasonable to assume that the thing beneath the fucking lab survived a Super Saiyan blast. And so, like, does that then not justify it to be blue? That's kind of like, that's where the thought process was.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't actually change or modify anything that was established. It's just like a surprise. Here's this reveal that there was actually a secret thing below that they didn't know about. Like even the characters below did not know to go down there and blast shit up because they didn't know it existed.
No, I get that. It's just, again, it's just coming from a point of view of like, you know, what would the decision be for Toriyama? Would Toriyama keep it the exact same way if he could, or would he change it? And the conclusion that I come to is, he would definitely change it because it's unreasonable what happened. That's kind of
like I think it's like 30% reasonable. It's like I don't have to suspend my disbelief that hard for this, or at least not as hard as apparently you do.
Yeah, so I think it's just a difference in opinion. But yeah, if you want to keep it orange, we keep it. I don't care. Where are we? Oh yeah,
Right here.
so Room of Spirit and Time revealed Goku trained there as a child.
We're just never given any information about what training he did in heaven before the 23rd Tenkaichi.
No, I get.
So this is just a reveal of what some of that entailed.
No, I get it, but like, so the reason why I have it there isn't because he trained there as a child. It's more that it's been there since he was a child, or at least there since he was a child, at the very least.
Yeah.
And the implication there is Kami and Popo never thought to, in the brief amount of time they had to train for the Saiyans, allow Goku to go in there or allow
Goku was dead.
but like allow Tenshinhan, Yamcha, Krillin, any of them to go in there. They could have gotten years more worth of training for that eventuality, and I think it's entirely reasonable to assume that he would have brought it up to them.
So I agree with that for the most part, but that definitely categorizes as like an inconsistency rather than an outright retcon. Nothing established as being changed. It is rather just kind of a bit of like a logical inconsistency that they didn't use that for then. But again, that is more like a CinemaSins type inconsistency than it is a literary retcon.
Yes, kind of. Like, so what I would argue would be the retcon, right? Would be they, like, Kami and Popo did everything they could to prepare the Earthlings for the Saiyan invasion. That was the implicit, that was heavily implied, given that he allowed all of them, including Yajirobe, to go up there and train. It then seems strange that he drew the line at the Hyperbolic Time Chamber or Room of Spirit and Time, right? That seems unreasonable to consider. And so the retcon then becomes Kami didn't do or provide everything that he could have for the Saiyan invasion preparation, and that is in and of itself unbelievable. Do you kind of see where I'm getting at? I understand that.
Right. Well, I agree. That it's insane. It's just specifically not a retcon. There's another word for the problem there.
What bad writing?
Sort of. It's just an inconsistency.
All right. Do you want to keep it there like that? Fine. They can only stay in the Room of Spirit and Time for 48 hours. Or 2 years, yeah. I'm happy to leave that be a reveal.
Yeah, just information.
Yep, because that will be contradicted later.
We got plenty for that.
Yeah, and then we got a bunch of correct ones, which are Cell games date. Yeah, Cell can regenerate because Piccolo's DNA, which makes no fucking sense. King Piccolo didn't regenerate his tummy, also didn't make sense. Shenlong. Demon King Piccolo didn't regenerate his tummy.
It is a retcon. The retcon is that Piccolo can regenerate. Thereby making Demon King Piccolo not doing that is now affected by the retcon.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I appreciate going backwards, which is what I did. But I'd almost argue now that it's established that Piccolo can regenerate, but it was also established that his regeneration was limited based on the amount of ki he had, or chi, or whatever you want to call it. This was at the end of the fight. Did Piccolo have enough energy to regenerate what he needed to? Or did he just have enough to create a clone of himself? That's what I'm saying.
Piccolo wasn't that beat up at the end of the fight. He really does not take much shit from Goku.
No, but like taking that attack, that is what fucking would, like, he looked fucked up at the end of that because he died. Sure,
but I mean that's true. Fucking Piccolo in the Buu arc gets all of his body but his head broken into pieces and he can still regenerate. That's way worse of an injury than getting a hole in your tummy.
I get that, but that's after it's been established. That's after the Cell retcon, right?
Well, you just called this a retcon, so we're all good.
Right, but that's before the cell rec. I feel like Piccolo's powers develop over time. But
They specify over time, but either way, the fact that he can regenerate was not was specifically runs in opposition to the end of that fight.
sure. Okay. I think it's like I'm arguing for this not to be on the list now. So.
Right. Yeah.
Just so I'm being like intellectually honest. Shenlong cannot change androids to humans. They are too powerful to change. Like that seems weird.
This is just a repeat. You'll note red says outright wrong or repeat. I added the or repeat only for this one because this is just the same as a previous one where he cannot grant wishes beyond the strength of Kami. So this is just that again.
Right, but that's in the context of like killing them.
No, I went back and checked the verbiage. It's he can't make wishes beyond the power of Kami is the original verbiage, which is why this just is kind of a repeat of that.
Okay, well, it's okay. That if you're taking that literally, then that makes no sense because like, Shenron can do things that Kami can't all the time. So I don't know what that
means. Yeah, the verbiage. Yeah, the new rule doesn't make very much sense. Well, no, I don't disagree.
That's why I kind of took it under the context of what I was saying, where like it can't kill the Saiyans because they're too powerful. That I can get on board with. That makes more sense.
Your understanding of that doesn't change the fact that this doesn't contradict the original thing, which is just he can't affect being stronger than him.
Well, in that case, then, as soon as that last line was uttered, that last limitation that we're referring to as the initial version of this particular shortcoming, the very first time that's retcon. That's a retcon. We're both in agreement there.
Yeah.
And but then the very next wish Shenron makes is necessarily a retcon because it flies in the face of that again and then cancels it out. And then
you know what though
makes this
kind of doesn't if you think about it, because the next wish he makes on someone more powerful than Kami is Goku, and what does he do? He refuses the wish.
Right, but if it was outside of his power, he would just say so.
Well, maybe the implication is that he cannot force wishes upon people stronger than him.
Okay. Then you're just then you're reading into stuff.
All of this is reading into stuff. All that is stated is that he can't affect people stronger than him, which this does not contradict or change.
What I'm saying is, so this is the second time that you're claiming this particular restriction is invoked, right?
Yeah.
I don't disagree. What I'm arguing is that the first time it was used, that was a retcon. We're both in agreement there. Mm-hmm. But then that sets the table for Shenron being unable to do anything out of the power of Kami. And as soon as a wish is attempted and it isn't followed up by that is outside my power, then that then is also retconned. And my point is then that then frees this one up again to be retconned.
I followed you up until the very end. I don't think any of that makes this different. This still does not change or contradict anything in the original understanding.
Like a light switch, because like so long. Okay, so for instance, right, when Goku becomes an alien, or we're told that he becomes an alien, that's that switch being activated, right? And therefore, all the other things that come with that aren't retcons. We're in agreement there. I totally agree with you.
Right.
So when the first version of this shortcoming was introduced, that's that switch being flicked. Okay? And so therefore, it primes the next wish to have to satisfy that condition. But it doesn't, I'm arguing. The next wish, they're saying, bring Goku here or something, right? Is that the wish they use? I think it is. And Goku says no. And that's why Shenlong can bring him back. But if this was something that was outside of his power, he would say, and this is what he would absolutely say, before even checking with Goku, he would say, that is outside my power, because that is outside the power of the creator or whatever the fuck, right? That's all gravy. But because that happens, it then flicks the switch back. And so then primes this one to be alley-doop again, to flick the switch back. Are you following my thought process?
I'm following what you're saying. I just don't think I agree.
Why?
Because nothing about all of the in between doesn't matter. All that matters as far as a retcon is, does this thing that happens right here change, contradict, whatever what was established by the narrative prior? And the answer is it doesn't. This perfectly fits with what was previously established.
No, because okay, my issue is that this is an instance of a switch being flicked, it being flicked back up, and then being flicked again.
I think if anything, you could use this as an argument that Shenlong attempting the wish on Goku without saying it's not possible is a retcon. I don't think there's any reasonable argument to be made that this is a retcon because it's just the same as before. I think the argued retcon would be the Goku wish, which I think maybe does hold some water.
Well, no, but like my point is that Shenlong attempting to make that wish implies that it was possible. And so therefore...
Right, so that's the retcon. That's the retcon.
Right.
It's flipping the switch back.
You know, exactly. We're in agreement. It's flicking the switch back. But then that means that we're now operating in a world again where it doesn't need to be within the power of Kami anymore. And now we have to do that.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to put this... you've talked me into blue. I don't agree with you almost at all, but you talk me into blue because there is a slightly contrived, slightly CinemaSins-esque argument to be made in your favor.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy with blue. I would agree with blue.
I don't think it's a retcon, but you know what? We'll put it blue.
I will argue anyone happily that this is blue because I'm actually more... Actually, the funny thing is, there are some of these that I am more ingrained in my actual conviction than before. And because this is introduced and because this is added, we also need to add the other one. The one that happens in the middle with Shenron attempting to do the thing.
Yeah. I guess I'll just add that at the end. 78. Shenlong attempts to perform wish on Goku, who is stronger than Kami. Before we do this, I really should look up the hyper-specific verbiage on that, which means I need to find it.
Bring Goku back or whatever.
No, the hyper-specific verbiage on the "we can't do this to the Saiyans" thing, which is unfortunate because I did not immediately. Actually, I think you have that in your script where it was.
I don't know.
Is it?
Do I?
Kami 39 in chapter 18. Let's go. Oh my god, I was already at chapter 18. I'm unstoppable.
You'll find that like a lot of these kind of like plot developments all happen in one like cluster, and that's why these are kind of clustered together.
Blah 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 blah. Goku is training the other one. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Oolong of all people say, I wish beat up those Saiyans and save Earth. Probably wouldn't fly, would it? He says, that is an impossible request. I was made by a god. I cannot grant a wish that surpasses the power of God. It's so fucking vague.
Like, that means then that he can't bring people back to life.
I mean, but obviously not, because literally the next words is that I can do that easily. So there's obviously a deeper implication of this.
That we're not getting in this translation.
Yeah. Hold on. Hold on. Let me pull up
a good translation.
Yeah, let me pull up the good shit. Hold on. Let me see if there's any note about this. Terms.
Oh, okay.
What chapter is this?
Did you say 18? I can't remember.
18. That's
or 17. I can't remember.
Hold on, I'm pulling it back up. 18.
Dragon Ball. All right, cool.
Zeto. 20, 19, 18.
Yeah.
Nope. That's pretty much it. Harms had no issue with this verbiage.
It just makes no sense. It doesn't make any.
I don't. It sort of does. Actually, no. It definitely makes no sense. But I think it's sort of
same plane of existence.
It's sort of just hand waved because its verbiage is very nebulous and Shenlong's magic. But
yeah,
even its nebulous magic properties does not change the fact that this switch arguably gets flipped back and forth a fair bit.
Yeah, and each flip is a retcon because it has to be.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we have to be consistent. Because if we don't accept that a switch can flip, then we we necessarily have to again, the whole Goku being an alien thing. All the other stuff after that is taken on board because that switch is flipped, and therefore nothing matters anymore. Yeah,
right.
When that switch is flipped again, and everything else is fair game again.
Where were we at?
This one.
Yeah. Okay, we're into Boo. Oh my God, we're almost done.
Yeah. Okay. Vegeta. Yeah. That one. The whole. Yeah. That's Vegeta.
Pretty objective
for Gohan, despite agreeing. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So your cursor hovering over this blocks the start of each word.
You do that sometimes too. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. No, it's fine. We just neither of us think about it.
Kaioshins are above Kais, despite King Kai originally being described as the very top. I'm glad we agree on that one.
That's kind of like the flip side of the Kami thing, where Kami is never explicitly said as the top. He's just God. Whereas there is literally a line from that attendant guy that's like, yep, he is the top of the totem pole.
Yep. Majin Buu goes from time immemorial to created by Bibidi. So that one's
wrong because you had that shit backwards.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so just flip it around, then it's real, right?
Well, sort of. No, it doesn't work because the thing that you had backwards is supplementary material, which we've already said we just cannot really discuss in that original video because then the video blooms up roughly 5 times its size. The original established thing in the narrative in the manga is he was created by Bibidi.
Bibidi, yeah. And then it's changed.
And then in a interview like fucking 20 years later, Toriyama's like, no, yeah, he's been around forever. That obviously is a retcon in that order, but that's supplementary material shit outside of the story, which again... Yeah. If we include supplementary stuff and interviews and Daizenshus and everything else, my God, does this get bigger?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. What else? King Kai is now North Kai. Yeah, it's fine.
Kind of a subset of the other one, but it's like it's delivered separately and different.
Yeah. Piccolo can regenerate as long as his head is intact. Okay, so you said you checked this pretty thoroughly. The only time Piccolo, or anyone rather, mentions regeneration at all is when they're facing off against Cell, where he simply refers to his regeneration. We are given zero conception of its limits outside of him being able to die. Are we?
Yes.
Like we only ever really see his limbs get ripped off, right?
Right. I put that note here because by all means you would think that there's something to this and that this should be a retcon, but I looked everywhere and it is amazing how nondescript and non-established his regeneration is every single time it's used. He literally, not a single person mentions it when he does it for the first time in the 2013 Tenkaichi. Not a single line, which broke my brain.
Do you know what? It is actually funny when you look at the manga in this ridiculous way that we're looking at it. You can really see like Toriyama almost making a conscious and concerted effort not to like add exposition or detail.
Yes, like that's what I said at the beginning. It's like his thing. It's how he writes stories.
Which is just like to say, I'm not giving you fucking anything to use against me. That's pretty much everything it does.
I'm not, it's very specifically, I'm not painting myself in any corners. I'm not even opening the paint jar.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to assume I know the reason for this one. So, foregoing a wish reduces the Dragon Ball's cooldown. It's because it's Den days, right?
Yeah, this is it's kind of sort of a subset of the Purunga thing, and kind of just because this is a whole new set of rules with Dinde's new dragon, so it's just a subset of that. It's not changing anything.
What does the new dragon say when it comes out? Could it say any wish, or does like is there any kind of like?
That's a funny question that I would like to find out. I don't think it'll change anything about this conversation, but I would like to find it out regardless.
Yeah, just performing a wish reduces the dragon's blood. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it doesn't contradict anything, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's just new. It had never been tried before or asked about, and so then now we learned this new thing because it was the first time they'd even tried it.
Yep, that's fine. SSJ3 drains Baba's visitation. Like that feels like it's detached from fucking everything. Like
I get where you're coming from.
Like there's no reason for us to assume that any of these two things are correlated at all. That's
true, but there's no reason to assume against it. It's not established one way or the other.
There has to be, because they're two different things. That's chi and that's magic. They're two completely different things.
It's not magic.
Well, okay, what mechanism are like what mechanism is Goku being brought back to Earth? What mechanism is Grandpa Gohan being brought back to Earth?
By what mechanism does the afterlife exist? It's not magic. The afterlife existing and Boo being able to turn people into candy are not one and the same mechanically.
Okay, then what is it?
It's just a thing that can happen. He's in the afterlife, and
energy is being drained. Like it takes away the time limit. Like it's just like there's no okay. So like
it's a contrivance, but it's not a retcon.
Contrivance, but like it's like we're led to believe the parameters of this particular thing, and then
that's the thing is we're not.
Wait, what? No.
There's no parameters ever given or led to believe.
Wait, no, we're told the rules in when Grandpa Gohan is introduced, right?
The only thing that we're told is he's visiting for a day.
Yeah, and no longer
via Baba. Yeah.
Yeah, you can visit for a day longer.
There's nothing that ever explains the mechanics of how long he's there, or if he does certain stuff, it can reduce it. This does not change or contradict anything established. It is just it is a revelation of the depths of the mechanics of this visit.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just again, this is just like, about like a difference in like, what's established, what's not. It's just the way it's described initially is like, this is what this is, and that's it. Now, I know it doesn't say that this is all it is, but that's the implication I feel is being communicated, because they like the question is asked, how can he be here and all that kind of stuff? How is this possible? That's what's hanging in the air, and she answers that by explaining what's going on. Like the implication I felt there is that we have all the information now, but now there's more information.
But finding out that there's new information itself is not a retcon. That is just what a reveal is.
Right.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be a reveal.
No, I get that, but again, it's just I think it's just like, again, it's just retroactively reframing what I thought something was, and like that's where my mind was when I put this down on the list. Well, yeah, let's just move on. Number 70, Piccolo is able to communicate with boys inside the room of spirit and time, despite that dimension shutting everything outside of it. Yeah, I'm actually glad we agree on this, because I was afraid that you were going to fight me on this, and I would have fucking fought this point.
No, it's absolutely contradictory and a retcon of things.
Yeah, that's fine. Number 71, Boo and Gotenks escape doorless room of spirit and time, despite there being no escape. Isn't it said that you like once you get locked in, you're locked in? Like it's like Popo says that.
Yes, like 4 seconds before they get out, but them managing to get out despite that is not a retcon. Just the same way that some Batman villain managing to escape Arkham, the inescapable prison, is not a retcon of Arkham being an inescapable prison.
Wait. No, okay, so maybe I'm misremembering. I thought Popo said that during the Cell Saga, and that you'd be stuck in there forever. Like the implication there being you wanted to get out.
the Popo says that it's separate from everything else in the Cell Saga. The bit where they're stuck there is dialogue from Piccolo after he blows it up.
Wait, no, okay, no. Popo definitely okay, so I don't remember this being in the Buu saga. I thought this was set up in the Cell saga, and then the contradiction appears here, where you're not actually trapped in there. You're not actually stuck there forever. There's a way out. Like, just to be clear, what happened in my head is that Popo established this thing, like this line in the sand, that once once the time has gone up or whatever, and the door is whatever vanished or whatever, once that's gone, you're locked in forever. That's the setup. That's the explanation surrounding this particular device. And then when they break out of it, that's them breaking that particular rule.
I'm currently looking for it in the Buu arc. I'm going to just skip forward a bit further.
Why not cite the chapter
in
the script that I wrote?
If you want to check that real quick while I'm looking for this.
What number is this again? Number 70 something?
70. No, 71.
All right. In chapter 196, Popo states that if the exit disappears, you are stuck in the room of spirit and time forever.
Okay, hold on. I've found this here, and I'll go look at that later. Even if that is true, that doesn't change my argument, but I want to look at the things.
Hang on. Okay, but wait. Why doesn't that change your argument? Popo is saying that once the exit disappears, you are stuck in the room of spirit and time.
Because Piccolo says the same thing.
Right, but that's an objective claim. That's an just because they acknowledge the objective claim before they're going to break it doesn't make it any less of a retcon. It just means that he knew he was breaking the rule.
Okay, so Piccolo says that was the only door between our world and this world. Your power will but even grow, blah, blah, blah. You will never escape. Live with us in eternity in this world. The point is, once that closes off, either via the 48-hour limit or in the case of the Buu arc, because they exploded the door, that's the only way to get out. So you can't get out. Them, Buu, and then later Gotenks getting out does not change that fact. They just punch a new door, basically, a new hole in. That does not change anything.
That does change, because the thing that's said isn't that you won't exit through a door. It's that you will be stuck in the room of spirit and time forever.
Yes, implicitly, because the door no longer operates.
Whoa, no. We're talking objectively. What is stated? You will be stuck in there forever. The door can be gone or whatever.
That's not how this works. That is not how this works.
It's explicitly what's said in like, okay, this is as clear as day to me. Like, this is literally saying
same.
Right, but this is literally saying, if this condition is satisfied, you are stuck in there forever. Then in the Buu saga,
yes, and the reveal is that he's so strong that he punches a hole through the dimension anyway.
Right, okay. That's a reveal, but that reveal is a retcon. It retcons the rule. Why?
Because the thing still happens. If they stayed in there for 48 hours or blow up the door, they no longer have that exit back to the world.
Hang on. We have someone to discuss this with. AJ, you don't need to say anything because I know you have your mic muted.
Oh, I didn't even know he joined. That's funny.
He literally just joined a second. So, okay. In chapter 196, during the Cell saga, Popo explains that if the exit disappears, you are stuck in the room of spirit and time forever. Okay? That's the claim.
Separately from that.
Wait, stop poisoning.
I'm just supplementing. I'm not poisoning it. I have no interest in poisoning it.
Hey, you can make your claim later. This is my time. And I will give you
Okay, that's fair.
Your time. Okay. So, okay, again, in the Cell saga, when the room of spirit and time is being established, Popo states this rule, and that rule is if the exit disappears, you are stuck in the room of spirit and time forever. That's the claim, that's the rule, that's it. And that exists in its place until the Buu saga, wherein a specific chapter, Piccolo makes mention of that rule, and then they break it. Or rather, Buu breaks it, and then that's followed then by Gotenks, who can scream a hole, and then they escape. In my mind, That is a retcon because they are now, despite the door despite the exit being destroyed or disappearing, they are not stuck in there forever. That's my claim, and that therefore makes that a retcon in my mind.
And then my obvious and objectively correct counterpoint, I wish you could see me flip my hair, is that the claim is obviously, yes, when the door is exploded or permanently shuts because you stayed in there for longer than 48 hours, you can no longer use that door to escape, which is the only way out. And Boo, and then later Gotenks, the reveal is, or subversion or whatever, is that they are so strong that they managed to punch an entirely new separate hole out of that dimension and leave. It's not a retcon any more than some Batman villain being sent to Arkham, the inescapable prison, and then they manage to escape. Like, it doesn't change. Them punching a new hole does not change the established truth that beyond certain reasons, when certain conditions are met, you cannot leave through that door, which is the only door. You are stuck in here. That door doesn't work anymore. Not a retcon.
So the reason why I would push back against your analogy or comparison to a prison is that prisons have doors. They have walls. There is no wall in the Room of Spirit and Time.
Don't focus too much on the analogy. That was just supplementary. The point is just that nothing is being changed.
Okay, well, like, it is, something is being changed. The objective claim, and I can point to this in the text, it specifically says, if this door disappears or gets destroyed or whatever, you are stuck in there forever.
Yep, they get out in opposition to that. It's them managing to get out anyway is not a retcon. It's them overcoming that problem by punching a whole new hole themselves. That only lasts for a couple seconds.
I staunchly believe that this is not even blue, it is black.
I staunchly believe that this is orange.
Okay, AJ,
I'm not even close. I'm not even close to calling this a retcon. It'd be funny if he wasn't listening the whole time.
Yeah, I actually kind of feared that he wasn't. AJ, are you there?
I'm listening.
Okay, so just to reiterate the point, the claim by Popo is that once this condition is satisfied, that being the door isn't there anymore, you are stuck in there forever. By whatever mechanism, you are stuck in there forever. And now all of a sudden, you're not stuck in there forever. That's
which they do in opposition to the rule. They overcome the rule. It's not changing that reality.
Is another way of saying retcon.
It's not.
Okay, AJ, what do you?
When is the rule reiterated?
In the boot.
By Piccolo after he explodes the door. Roughly, let me see, how many pages before Boo punches a hole? 1, 2. It's reiterated 2 pages before he blows a new unrelated hole out of the dimension.
I don't see why that matters.
It matters because them restating is very clearly outlining that they're not breaking or changing the rule, they're overcoming it. They have created a new hole that overcomes that problem.
There forever.
No. Yeah, well, so this takes you into the awkward realm of retcons, because this is the solution to a problem thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is like if you pull up like you're kind of both right. Like if you, for example, you pull up the wiki page for retcons right now, you'll see, again, to put up that X-Men example, like they kill all of these X-Men, and the solution to that, to undo it, to fix the problem, is to time travel, right? It's that thing. It's like, okay, we are overcoming this problem that we established ages ago by doing a thing. So like it's
but like
the problem is that that example is under the subset of subtraction. Like they are negating something that happened before actively.
I guess that's a critical difference, the subtraction aspect of it. Yeah. They're not undoing something.
Right, exactly.
Like, also importantly, Popo says you are in there forever. As soon as that is contradicted, that's the retcon.
No.
Why no?
They overcome that problem.
That's just a subversion. That's
Correct. They're overcoming the problem. It's not a retcon.
Subversion, overcoming. That's just another word for fucking retcon. This is a rule that's established. This is a rule that's established and then broken.
Nope.
no,
So
because
wait.
it's not.
It's not a rule.
Because it's not like a. It's not like a hard. It's not like a hard rule in that sense. It's
Okay, in that case, what makes a rule hard? Like, I don't know how much more explicit he can be. He's saying if a condition is satisfied, this necessarily happens.
You're stuck in there forever. The only door out of there ceases to operate, which is why you're stuck in there forever. But that precludes the solution, the subversion, that they simply punch a new door.
Isn't there a Marvel movie that is effectively the same thing here? Doesn't someone get stuck somewhere? Doctor Strange, does he get stuck somewhere?
Are you thinking about Ant-Man and Ant-Man and like?
I was thinking, yeah, like
the quantum realm.
Quantum Mania or something. I don't know. I never watched it.
I just remember someone being stuck there, and the
thinking about
whole thing is that
Infinity
you
War.
will be stuck here, and then they undo it.
Right. I think you're thinking of Endgame, right?
Maybe.
Right, but the thing is, like, the mechanism to get them out of there was always there. There was no mechanism suggested to get person out of there. And that's why they say
we're dealing. Well, I feel like we're dealing with the unknown here.
Yeah, of course we are.
Like it's
That is the surprise reveal. He is so incredibly strong that he can punch a hole through a dimension, a solution to being stuck in there that had never been conceived of before, because he's just that strong.
I get that. That's not it. Look, I could argue this forever. Will we just call this blue?
No, it's not a retcon at all.
It is absolutely a retcon.
At this point, it's 2 versus 1. You brought him in to be a tiebreaker.
Oh wait, no. Has AJ explicitly said that he's on your side? If that's the case, then we can move on. But I really don't think this makes sense at all to go this way.
It's an annoying spot to be in. I lean more towards because it's annoying, like, because I think the structure of the story matters, right?
Yes.
I think maybe had the rule not been reiterated and it just happened, I think maybe you could look at it slightly differently. I don't know. Like,
Agreed.
I don't even know.
Agreed.
I don't actually think that them reiterating the rule matters that much, because
It does.
Rule.
Well, I think
that
it adds
rule,
intentionality.
but like that rule was conceived before that happened.
Yeah, but them reiterating, or them Toriyama reiterating it, like exactly what AJ said. It proves intentionality, that this is not him like rewriting something or forgetting something. It is just them finding a solution.
Hang on, someone can very easily and intentionally retcon something.
Right, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
AJ gets exactly what I'm saying.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that this doesn't apply to that.
Well, no, but you're saying that him making mention of it and like all that kind of stuff beforehand matters somehow. It doesn't.
I
Intentionality
think it matters a little bit. That's not the crux of my argument, but it's supplementary.
does not matter. Intentionality does not matter, even 1%.
I think it's. I'm not saying it matters. I'm saying it's supplementary in terms of an argument.
No, it's not. Your argument is that this isn't a retcon, and
it isn't.
Whether or not. Yeah, but the
Because
determining
it doesn't change anything that was established.
It does. The rule that Popo said.
The rule that you can't go back through that door once it's exploded or permanently shuts because you're in there for 48
I was going to
hours.
say that you can't go back through that door. He said that you're stuck there forever.
You're stuck there forever because the only way out ceases to work.
Right.
That is, he doesn't, the implication isn't you can no longer leave because magical room of spirit and time demons appear and hold you down for all of time.
No. He says, you can't get out because that is your only way out.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that is your only way out, and you're stuck there forever, meaning that you can't create a new door.
So they overcome that by doing the unthinkable, punching a new way out.
Hang on. The claim, phrased another way, could be you can't create a new door.
That's not the claim at all.
That is literally the claim, because
the claim is you can't get out because that's the only way out.
Hang on, you can't get out because that's the only way out, and you can't make another one. You can't get out because you can't make another one.
Right, that is their conception at the time.
Sorry, this is as black a retcon as there can be. I'm willing to.
This is as orange as ever oranged.
I think you're just feeling the knock-on effects of Trump being president right now, and you're just saying everything's orange.
No, dude, it's just not.
AJ,
You've only convinced me further.
I like that. Absolutely not. Like this. Okay. I will forever think that this is a black retcon, but AJ, you can be the deciding factor, and we can just move on.
Well,
them overcoming their preconceived notion of there only being one door is not a retcon. It's the point. It is the reveal. Boo is so strong that he punches a hole through the dimension that only has one hole.
AJ knows what happens. He's heard both of our arguments. You don't need to just keep saying it. I just need an answer from AJ, because I just like to me it's so obvious, and to you it's so obvious. But I just need an answer just so we can move on.
Well, I'm thinking.
And if you're in the middle on this, then we can just that then is evidence enough to make it fucking blue.
Well, no. Well, I mean, I would say I lean towards it not being a retcon. Like I do see your side of it, but I think like. Well, because let me pull up the wiki page real quick, right?
The wiki page is
my itty mic quality. Give me one sec.
Yeah.
I need to record stuff after this as well. Like, Jesus Christ, this is taking so long.
Yeah, this is basically taking our entire workday.
3 hours.
Yeah. Break.
Almost on the dot. The current record time is 3 hours and 14 seconds.
Yeah. I'm glad we recorded this though, because this has been like.
There's no person, dear person that's watching this. I don't think that you exist, but if you do, leave a comment saying that you heard this, because it's going to break my brain that somebody listened through all 3 hours of this.
I could totally envision someone listening to this.
Maybe just like putting it on like as like a podcast almost, that sort of thing. Or like when you just put on YouTube videos in the background.
This is absolutely a podcast I'd listen to 100%.
Yeah. We should have been smart about this. We should have deliberated about this until Friday. Special 5-hour-long podcast.
Absolutely.
I would cry editing.
Absolutely true.
But yeah, I mean, like, when you look at all the types of examples of retcons, right? It's never stuff like that where it's like, where like a rule is overcome in like a different way. Like something is stated and then they overcome it. It's like, because I think the way I view this Gotenks thing, it's like mechanically it works within the world. Like it's just a setup and a perfectly fine reveal of it. Like we've advanced on from that rule. Popo's view of it, doesn't account for the strength of like a million Saiyans. And if you look at how a lot of alteration when it comes to retcons, when you look at examples of how these kinds of things function, none of them are really like that. Like when it comes to retcons, they tend to just like ignore things, or they just like say like, oh well, this doesn't count because I don't know.
I have a question for you, Mark.
Why?
I have a question for you, Mark.
Yeah, hit me.
If in the Boo arc, or maybe even in Cell arc, or in any previous Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z arc, if they were chilling out with the Kaioshin or something, or with King Kai says, check out this really heavy block over here. It's made out of this insane material. It's literally impossible to move. This is an immovable object. And then like 4 arcs later, like in Dragon Ball Super, Goku has achieved Super Saiyan 7, and he goes back to King Kai's world and lifts that brick. Do you consider that a retcon?
No.
It's functionally exactly the same.
I will tell you why it's not exactly the same, because opening a door to another dimension isn't tied to strength necessarily.
Yes, it is. No, it is. It's explicitly explained as that in the thing. That's why they have to transform from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 3, because it's linked to strength.
Hang on. I get that that's the post hoc rationalization.
No, it's the mid hoc rationalization.
Hang on. It being part of the setup for that doesn't matter. There is no precedent before that instance, because this is all part of the same one action to justify, right? There needs to be precedent for that before. And there's no
precedent for the big cube being moved before.
Hang on. What? No. The big cube just operates in terms of real world logic, where it's a big heavy thing. You need to be really strong to lift the heavy thing.
Okay. What if it's a magical cube?
Hang on. You don't need to be really strong to fucking open a magical door. That's like that doesn't necessarily.
But you do in Dragon Ball. You do. That's very specifically how it works in Dragon Ball.
Hang on. In Dragon Ball, you do in the moments justifying what's about to happen.
Correct.
But like
that's how it works.
No. That's not how. Okay. Fuck it. No. Fuck it. No, it is.
Hold on. Let me throw a bonus thing in here, right? Maybe you've already covered it, but back in the Cell arc, right? Mm-hmm. They say that the Room of Spirit and Time, there can only be 2 people in there at once. Whereas you get to the Buu arc and suddenly you have 4 people in there. There's Trunks.
Oh, that's a retcon.
Piccolo.
No, it's not a retcon. Yeah.
Why?
I remember coming across this and I remember concluding that it wasn't a retcon because of something. What was it? I can't remember. I do remember. It's a supply issue in terms of beds and in terms of food.
Yeah. I think that's right.
It's set up for 2 people. That's the phrasing of it. That it is only allowed.
2 people can live in there for a year. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Carry on.
Yeah, exactly.
Carry on, AJ.
Yeah. No, that was his point.
No, it was just fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So,
anyways, it's definitely not a retcon.
It is a retcon. But
what was the retcon in? When the rules changed in Super?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a retcon.
The change in the rules was that it now no longer is required for you to have only be there for 2 years. You can go there for as many times as you want, and you can stay in there now longer, for 3 days at a time if you want to.
Did Vegeta blow up the door in in Super?
Retcon, because that's after the fact.
That is a retcon.
Why is that a retcon?
Because he didn't blow a hole through the universe. He blew a hole through the door.
As if it's a physical space inside the lookout. Yeah, okay. In terms of the blueprint for the thing. Yeah, that's a retcon.
That's a retcon. The Buu thing isn't.
I hear you say.
I think that's probably the difference. Mechanically, it's the
just
that's established.
Again, just to finish this on, and I'm happy to accept the conclusion.
Didn't you say he already heard your arguments and we shouldn't belabor them?
Moving on. I'm conceding that, but I'm just saying my entire argument was Popo said that because the door isn't there, you are in there forever, implying that you cannot create a new door. That's the
yeah. He was wrong.
Okay, well then that's a red.
Nope.
Okay.
Being wrong isn't a retcon.
Being wrong. Okay. Okay. We move on. If anyone actually has listened, you can just you can make up your own minds. But we're leaving that as a.
Well, hold on. They like you more than they like us. They might just side with you.
That's not true at all.
Oh, yes, it is.
All right. Where are we now?
I don't know. We've been on this point for. I knew this was going to take so long.
Earth drawn with fictional land masses, withdrawn with IRL contents before. Oh yeah.
I just put that as blue because you could argue that is just background art and is not an established fact, but you can also absolutely argue it's literally there and it's drawn different, so it's a retcon.
Hang on. A background fucking art, it's part of the story. Like if you're talking about how this,
He doesn't say there's Australia.
Oh no, but they say there's Hawaii.
Do they?
Yes, that's what it's like when the Kamehameha is revealed. I think Poir or somebody says
That's fake.
Oh my god, it's a Vizism.
Yep.
That's okay. That's Viz fucking me again then, I guess. But like,
Yep.
But like that's a very.
I think. Let me double check.
I hope the fuck it isn't, because like
I'm pretty sure it is, but I don't want to talk out of my ass. Let me pull.
That'd be the third or fourth time now the fucking translation is fucked me.
Now you understand why people want a retranslation of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Translation sure is a thing.
Let me see. Where do they talk about? I think it's after this, but I'm flipping.
Like the only way, like even if that is a mistranslation, the only way that I could see this as like not a retcon is if you accept the possibility that like Toriyama happened to draw a random landmass that happened to look exactly like what I described, and then it just changed.
The argument is just that it's just incidental background art and not like an established fact. It would be different if someone was like, "There's Australia" or mentioned Hawaii or something. That is like an established fact rather than just like incidental background art. But again, I am also down with calling it a retcon because it is physically there. It is drawn on the page. But that's why I labeled it blue. Well, I'm currently trying to find this thing just to make sure that it is.
Roshi uses the Kamehameha.
Okay, right after?
Right after, or as he's saying it, or something, yeah. Or when he's describing the move. It could be just before, just after, or during. I can't remember.
Okay,
but
I don't see it in this, so I'm pretty sure I'm right. But now let me pull up the original for reference. It's going to be volume 2-ish, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's like midways through volume 2. Or towards the front, but in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. Super Saiyan.
Super Saiyan? What?
Not Super Saiyan, I meant Kamehameha.
I've never talked so much specifics about Dragon Ball in my entire life.
I know, it's so much.
This has been a very...
Wait, here we go. Okay, so the line in Viz, Poir says, wasn't that some old king of Hawaii? In response to Kamehameha. The actual line is amazing. Lord Yamcha, what the heck is the Kamehameha? So yes, it is a Vizism.
Okay, whatever. It doesn't really change anyway. It's blue. Where
blue.
Jiro is now the explicit creator of the Red Ribbon Army androids. Yeah, I'm happy that to be blue.
Yeah.
Because it's like technically plausible, but just like it's a big stretch. Goku.
I actually lean further to it not being a retcon for what it's worth, because we're never given an explanation for who makes the androids in the Red Ribbon Army.
No, I know, but like, yeah. Goku hits. Actually, you know what could also be a retcon?
Okay.
Is that fly that's always watching them?
Yeah.
Is that a retcon?
No.
Or is that just an extension of Dr. Gero? I suppose.
Yeah, well, it's just a reveal. Just because it was never alluded to or foreshadowed before doesn't mean it being explained as existing prior is a retcon.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, sure.
Established.
Goku hits Super Saiyan 3 despite explicitly claiming that he and Vegeta were equals, giving it his all. Yeah, it's a retcon. Bulma takes plane up to the lookout, previously described as impossible. So my argument against this, and I think this could make it a blue, is that, and this is me arguing against the list that I made.
Right.
Bulma taking the plane to the lookout itself could be under different parameters or whatever because Kami is no longer there and it's under the control of Dende.
Yeah, it's never explained, but the reason I left it like this is the specific verbiage, and we actually just revisited this during this 3 hours, but the specific verbiage is that if you try and take a plane near the lookout, you will be repelled. It doesn't... Yeah. You could argue that the implication is that Kami will just swat you down or that there's some special Kami-specific magic, but the way it's presented is just if you bring a plane, you will be automatically repelled, and this flies in the face of that.
Yeah, I mean... It does in the same way that like it outlines a rule, just like Popo did. But okay.
Oh my god!
I'm not like
it's not even close to similar.
Potara fusion described as permanent, but then sorry, no, before that we have Goten and Trunks achieve Super Saiyan easily via bargain sale.
There's an explanation given for why they're different. It's not even an explanation on why it's suddenly easy. It's just for them specifically, it's different.
Why? Because they were conceived of by Super Saiyans. Is that what the explanation is?
Let me pull it back up. Hold, please.
But do you remember what it is off the top of your head vaguely?
Well, I'm looking out because I want to make sure I don't conflate two things. I know one of the explanations is that they're like tailless Saiyans, but I don't think that's actually in the story. But I do think that there's something else explicitly in the story.
Tailless Saiyans, but
yeah, I think it's an interview or something,
really?
which is why I said I'm not paying attention to it. To be clear,
okay, that's fine.
But I'm trying to.
Cells, wasn't there?
Yeah, S-Cells is fucking funny, dude. So stupid. Okay, let's see. Okay, he's turned Super Saiyan. Since when could you do that? I can't believe it. Dad and I worked so hard to become Super Saiyans. Yeah? Do you want to spar? Do you know what Kumite is? What the hell?
I'll be back. BRB.
Some stupid translation. Mom never did like Super Saiyans, and then they spar. You can turn Super Saiyan, but you can't fly? Whatever happened to doing things in order? At some point, he asks about Trunks. Trunks is even stronger than me. These kids leave me in the dust if I don't watch it. Okay, and then where's the bit where Vegeta talks to Trunks about it? Because that...
Yeah, Trunks,
think...
you know, he asks, can Goten go Super Saiyan? And he goes like, and then Trunks says yes. And he's like, I'm surprised.
I'll turn Super Saiyan. You know what's funny though? Even separate from this, why do Goten and Trunks know that it's called Super Saiyan? I guess maybe Vegeta or Gohan has talked about it, or Chi-Chi, yeah.
Because like Goku spent time with Chi-Chi as well. That's what they conceived him.
Okay, true. Very good, very good. This is Super Saiyans were legendary warriors. How did it get this easy? Yeah, Trunks, yes, Dad. The sun can. It's a bargain sale on Super Saiyans. Try to hit me with law. Bring it. I'm finishing reading.
Yeah. In my mind, it was always just hand waved away.
Yeah, since you're younger, just a little. How is this possible? Yeah, in the text, it is not as explicitly explained. It is mentioned in a way that is like a hand wavy explanation.
Right, but like that's not an explanation then, is it? It doesn't give you any information. It's just saying this happened, get over it kind of thing.
Yeah, the closest we get is other than the bargain sale comment is how did it get this easy?
Right, exactly. Like as in like he even points out because like, and again, Vegeta tortured himself to become a Super Saiyan. Goku tortured himself to become a Super Saiyan. Even Gohan tortured himself to become a Super Saiyan. That's the precedent that's set.
To be fair, Gohan achieved Super Saiyan at age, 11, which is already basically inconceivable compared to the previous understanding.
Right, but Gohan's also been established already to be an outsider. Like
yeah, because he's a half Saiyan.
Yeah, but he's an outlier, right? Okay, yeah, fine, he's a half Saiyan. But and
these are also half Saiyans.
Yeah, in no way that's different to Go. Actually, no. Well, you know what? In ways that are different to Gohan, because Gohan was more talented. He is specifically unique to.
No. Goten and Trunks are presented as more talented than him. That's kind of the whole point.
Well, no, not more talented. The potential for Gohan has always been higher, right?
Not necessarily. He literally says, if I don't pick my training back up, these guys are going to surpass me at age 8 by playing with each other. Their talent and potential is higher than his.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, it just, I don't know, just them achieving Super Saiyan, like it's like nothing, feels like it contradicts something that was established before.
I would say it's definitely even easier for them than it was for Gohan, who achieved at age 11. However, My argument would be that the method by which Super Saiyan transformation happened is always nebulous. Like at first it was, oh, you have to have a pure heart. And then Vegeta's like, no, I just pure pissed the fuck off. And then Gohan does it at a really young age through different means. It's always been nebulous and has always gotten easier as time gone on. And this is just kind of more of that. This is more those mechanisms being nebulous.
It's gotten nebulous, but I wouldn't say how Gohan and Vegeta and Goku achieved it was easier over time. It wasn't. It was.
Well, it was easier for the half Saiyan Gohan. He did it at age 11.
Right, he did it at age 11, but like after spending a year in the chamber with his father. With someone.
Yeah, but he was still 11 years old.
Yeah, but he had the tutelage of someone gearing him specifically to that end. Who had already achieved it. Like you're like what? So like this is like comparing a kid who at age fucking 7 is as good as Michael Jordan, and by training on his own, and you're comparing that then to another kid who's older, who's also super talented, but also got the training of Michael Jordan.
Well, that's real life. Okay, here's the question that you have to ask: is Goten and Trunks getting Super Saiyan even earlier than Gohan, of which they're both half Saiyans, is that, quote, a piece of new information that imposes a different interpretation on previously described events or facts or whatever?
So I would say that the fact that their age doesn't really matter too much. What it is to me is the ease with which it was achieved. It was achieved as if it was nothing. Whereas it had been established before that it necessarily needed that. But now it's imposed a new change that, oh, wait, no, you actually don't need that.
Frankly, I'm beginning to think that I still don't think that this is a retcon, but I'm frankly beginning to think that we should be adding how Vegeta achieved Super Saiyan as a retcon.
Why?
Because that's much more explicitly going against what was previously a pretty hard established mechanism by which Super Saiyan is achieved.
I don't know what's this, I don't think the mechanism through which Super Saiyan was achieved was even described.
Yeah, it was a pure heart. A Saiyan with a pure heart.
I can only remember that in the anime. Is that actually in the manga?
Yep. I'll pull it up real quick, but yes.
Well, if that's true, then yes, that would be a retcon for Vegeta, absolutely.
One thing I am trying to remember, though, is that stated when Goku goes Super Saiyan, or is it only when Vegeta goes Super Saiyan? Either way, I would argue it's a retcon, but that might make it a retcon that happens roughly 12 seconds later. But no, that would make it a retcon imposing... Well, I don't know. Retcons are hard. Let's never talk about these again.
Too late. We're going to have another conversation about it tomorrow. Actually, before we finish this up, we'll finish the call up in a second, but I need to pick your brain about something to write about. Like I need to do some elements of the list today to record it. Mm-hmm. So we'll just go over those quickly as well.
At the very least, you will be able to give editor new audio because there's my section of the script. I'm going to have to add a couple new things that we discovered in this conversation, but other than that, I can wrap that up and have it ready to record it within like 30 minutes or less, maybe less than that even.
That's totally fine, because that's specifically why I wanted to have this conversation, because I felt like having this conversation would change that script slightly.
Yeah. He's a Super Saiyan. No way he's a Super Saiyan. I thought you had to have a pure heart. And then Vegeta says, my heart is pure evil. Which is funny.
But I don't have a pure heart. Hang on. He's saying, I thought you had to have a pure heart. Are they inferring that based on the fact that Goku achieved it, or was this actually said?
That's what I'm currently trying to figure out. I'm going back to the Super Saiyan transformation to see if it's ever stated or if it's inferred.
See, I think it's the former.
I think you might be right, but I'm curious. Okay, Krillin's blown up. Oh my god, he's a Super Saiyan. Get out of here while I still have some control over myself. What's happening? Super Saiyans only transform into great apes. Never mind. Don't talk back. Yakety yak. Don't talk back.
If anything, actually, the way Vegeta describes the mechanism through which a Super Saiyan is achieved, like he gives Goku advice and saying you have to let go of the mercy and all that kind of stuff. He's basically telling him to like become morally bankrupt.
Well, that's way before the Super Saiyan transformation.
Right. But
I understand you were
that's
able to
information we
become
need,
a
right?
Super Saiyan. No, they're not necessarily linked. This is killing innocent. They died because of it. Blah blah blah.
But if the explanation for how Goku achieves a Super Saiyan is given after he achieves Super Saiyan, isn't that retrofitting an explanation onto it?
Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything outlining a thing. So that really was Krillin saying, I thought you had to have a pure heart, was imposing a preconception about how Goku went Super Saiyan right then and there. Though he's immediately proved wrong, so I'd argue that's not really a retcon so much as just narratively having Krillin state an assumption.
I don't even know why Krillin would even feel comfortable asserting any fact about it.
Yeah, it's a good question.
He was in pieces, like
Yeah, he wasn't there.
yeah. Okay. So like, yeah, I think it's like, I think like while nothing was outright said and how like one attains Super Saiyan, I think through the consistency that 3 different forms were achieved, they shared enough in common to establish a norm, and then Goten and Trunks retcon that norm.
Here's where I fall on this. Is the important part of a retcon is that it changes, alters, contradicts, whatever, an established fact or understanding or whatever. For this to change the established way that Super Saiyans work would imply that all along Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan could have just achieved Super Saiyan easily, but they didn't think about it. This doesn't change that. It still had to be hard for them. The new information is just that Goten or Trunks are so fucking nuts that it came easily to them. It doesn't change the fact that it was necessary for Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan. That would make it a retcon.
I would agree with that, but I also think it's possible to take from this information of Goten and Trunks that achieving Super Saiyan could just be something as simple as a state of mind, and Goku and Gohan's and Vegeta's lack of experience and knowledge with the form basically just...
But they don't say it's because of a state of mind. It's pretty implicitly because they're just fucking jacked.
Right, no, but like everything is implicit. There's nothing objectively stated. But I'm just saying that like it can be inferred. That,
I think
like, it's just
I agree that somebody could make an argument. I think unlike the other blues, any argument that you make is just going to be like wrong. Like it objectively does not change the established truth for Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta. It would need to do that to be a retcon.
Hang on, so like, is the implication here then that at 8 years old or 7 years old or whatever the fuck, Goten, without any training, is just naturally stronger than Frieza?
Yes. Almost canonically, yes. There have been yeah, of course it is. But there have been discussions time immemorial about can base Goten, or sometimes it's can Super Saiyan Goten beat Frieza? And the answer is usually leans toward yes.
But like that, like I feel like that is almost like that makes almost no sense.
Yeah, they're just crazy. They're crazy strong, dude. They're nuts.
Okay. Like that in and of itself, it takes such a liberty and such a fucking like go.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because it's just an extension of the Gohan thing.
But no, it's not, because Gohan was just about as strong as Raditz.
Yeah, Gohan was about as strong as Raditz as a baby, which was roughly like 50 orders of magnitude stronger than Goku in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai.
No, I totally concede that, like, you know, these kids are wicked strong, and that's like a quirk of theirs. I totally get that. There's precedent for that. But I feel like Gohan and Goten's then need to mirror each other. But it feels like they don't.
Well, but they don't. They're clearly, like, you can make like inferences or arguments about why that is. Maybe it has to do with how strong the dad is when they fucking have sex. Maybe it has to do with something to do with the fact that they were, I don't know. It's just funny to think about Goku having sex. Maybe it has to do with the fact that these guys don't even have tails. I don't know. It's left vague, but the fact of the matter is that Goten and Trunks both are at age 8 just via playing with each other at a minimum around the strength of Frieza.
That's just almost inconceivable, but the only way then to rationalize it is that they aren't special. Gohan was just shit.
No, there's lots of ways that you can rationalize. But again, the level of inconceivability is the same with Gohan. Like, think about just how much training and strife Goku had achieved.
No, I get it, but the whole idea with Gohan was that he was like this special outlier, this unknown quantity.
No. You go back and read it. The specialness with Gohan is that he's a half-breed. That's all that they talk about, is that he's half Saiyan, half Earthling, and apparently that yields super strong babies.
No, I do remember Nappa and Vegeta talking about that before they set off for Earth. I get that. No, I get that. It's just, I guess, the degree to which that's true and it changing so violently between two children is just crazy. And if, like, yeah, I don't know. It just, yeah, again, like, this is all like, this is just, yeah, it's not a retcon, but it's just, it feels extreme.
It's crazy. It's pretty nuts. But
it feels contrived is what it feels.
Yeah, it is I mean, that's what it is. It is a contrivance to allow Goten and Trunks, these new characters, to keep up with the comings and goings of these characters that have been juiced to hell and back.
Yeah, okay, so Potara fusion described as permanent but then undone by Boo Magic. I don't think that's a retcon.
Yeah.
Boo Magic. It's literally because Boo Magic.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, but I did say that I could maybe see.
Okay, then
let me hear the I consider it a reveal and magic, but I want
to. I don't think reveals in and of themselves like preclude a retcon. So I think the verbiage you're using there is a bit confusing. But like, I would just say that this isn't a retcon purely by virtue of the fact that Boo is magical.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down with that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's the conclusion that Toriyama eventually kind of came to anyway. So
yeah,
it's neither here nor there. I think that's pretty much it then, right? The other two then are just the ones that we added.
Yep.
I love that we actually ended up adding to the fucking list.
Yeah, we added to. It's no longer 77, it's 79.
Add more. Did we have another one to add? I forget.
I added all the ones as we were talking about it, so I don't think so.
That's just 2, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Shenlong attempts to perform a wish on Goku, who is stronger than Kami. Well, like, performing a wish isn't the issue, I guess. Is it this, like, it's that he performs the wish that would be outside of what Kami is capable.
Yeah, that's what the attempt word is for.
Yeah. Attempts to perform a wish that is outside Kami's power would probably be the best way to put it, because, like,
that's what this says.
Shenlong attempts to perform wish on Goku, who is stronger than Kami.
Yeah.
No, but it's not the fact that Goku is stronger than Kami. It's the fact that Shenlong is trying to perform something that Kami can't do.
Right. Well, that's the point. Who is stronger than Kami is the problem, because we established before that Shenlong can't grant wishes that are outside the strength of Kami.
No, outside isn't it outside the power of Kami? Because that's different. As in, like, it's his ability to do something. Kami does not.
I mean, we already talked about before. We well established that that's not what that means, because otherwise Shenlong can't bring people back to life, because Kami can't bring people back to life.
Right. But that's my point. Is that once that switch is flipped, it then states that that's the parameter now. We can't do anything that Kami can't.
No, that doesn't work, because the switch flips back 4 panels later. Shenlong then immediately grants a wish that Kami can't do.
Right, well then wouldn't that just be a retcon then?
No.
But, like, why?
Because it's clearly demonstrating that the way you personally are understanding that verbiage is wrong.
Okay, what's the verbiage?
the verbiage, at least in the Viz translation, is something along the lines of within the powers of Kami or something like that.
Yeah, within the powers of Kami.
Right.
It doesn't.
But that's not correct.
Okay.
We're immediately shown that that's not correct, because then Shenlong immediately grants a wish.
No,
that
I know, but we
Kami
had a
can't do.
conversation, and then like we concluded that like that just makes no sense.
No, yeah, we concluded that the verbiage makes no sense. The implication, fairly implicitly, is that he cannot perform wishes on people that are like outside of the strength of Kami. So the Saiyans are so much stronger than Kami.
No, I get what you're saying, but like I just don't know if that's actually what's being implied, because like it
is.
I feel like then they would just say that if that's true.
Well, first of all, again, it might be a translation thing, but even separate from that, literally 4 panels later, he completes a wish. Like, it's not a retcon 4 pages later, or a retcon of a retcon.
Yeah, but it could be something as simple as he didn't think that the wording of this was as ambiguous as he intended it to be, and didn't think that he was contradicting himself.
I cannot surpass a wish that surpasses the power of God. That's pretty vague to begin with.
Surpasses the power of God.
That could mean the strength of God. That could mean the abilities of God.
Yeah, but the problem here is that he doesn't mention the person that he's doing it on. Like I cannot attempt a wish. I cannot attempt a wish that surpasses the power of God. Like the way that I interpret that now, right? This is like we're trying to fucking interpret the fucking Hebrew translation of the Bible, right?
Yeah, it truly is.
Like the way that I hear that, it's that because Kami is incapable of carrying out this wish himself physically, therefore Shenlong can't do it.
But yeah, that's just the wrong interpretation.
But why is that the wrong interpretation? Because it's
because 2 panels later, it wasn't even 4, because 2 panels later he does just that.
Okay, so you're saying that because this thing happens immediately afterwards, Toriyama necessarily must have accounted for it, and so it must then be interpreted as wishes can only affect people that are weaker than Kami physically.
Right. The phrasing is vague, and had Shenlong not immediately granted that wish, I think your interpretation could be argued. But he literally 2 panels later does, so that necessarily negates your interpretation of that vague verbiage.
Okay. I would have just said that. Like, I mean, I still think it's possible that Toriyama just didn't consider that thing, but I think it could just be the question. I think it could just be a translation thing. I think it could just be like that in Japanese, in the context or whatever the fuck, it's perhaps more implicit than it comes across in English. But yeah, I don't know.
What chapter is this again? I'm pretty sure there were no Herm's notes on this, but I just want to make sure. So many shit in 18. They you know what? All these retcons happen in chunks, as you said, mainly because half of these shits are just Shenlong. Whenever Shenlong appears, 7 new retcons are on their way.
The story of Dragon Ball isn't the story of the Dragon Balls. It's the story of Akira Toriyama fighting with them incessantly to make the story work. That's the story of Dragon Ball.
That's right. I did already check this. Yeah, he didn't take any issue with that verbiage. Yeah, I think it's just vague, and the fact that Shenlong immediately grants a wish that Kami couldn't do necessarily means that possible interpretation is not valid or possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I'm happy to go with that. That's whatever. If like, I mean, like that logically follows, and I can follow that. I can accept that. That's fine. And that's it. That's all of it, right?
That is
We're done. We're done. Thank you so much for watching. Person who is watching this. Don't forget to like and subscribe.